right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing Delta Green Impossible Landscapes tonight. We are continuing our very long Impossible Landscapes campaign, which is basically coming up on a year. We think it's going to take roughly a year. We still got a couple episodes left, I think. We were in part 4. It's a 4-part campaign. We started off last week. We're going to continue this week. After tonight, I think I'll have a much better idea about how long this is going to last. But I'm thinking maybe 2 to 4 episodes left. Like, we'll see, somewhere in that range. Like, that's how close we are, which is freaking me out. I mean, we killed Derek with a whale last week, so that was fun. Yeah, I mean, weird things are happening. Oh, speaking of the yellow sign,
because weird things haven't been happening from like the very beginning.
I'm sorry. Has
Totally
anyone?
not at all.
Did anyone get killed by a whale floating in mist in the first 3? Did that happen in the first 3? No, I don't think it did. So, like, you know, maybe just settle down there. So I was about to give Melissa a compliment. Melissa got me this for Christmas, like about a month. I totally forgot about mentioning it last week, but she got this little like cell phone stand for me, and it's got the yellow sign on it, which is either like a really nice memento and keepsake of this year-long campaign, or she wants me to go insane. And I'm not really sure. I think it's 50-50 either way. It could be one or the other. Who knows? Yeah.
All you have to do is play that one child song, like the music box thing.
Really?
And
you mean this one right here? You mean this one right here?
Oh, Ashley.
That's on your
Did I? Yeah, I put another stream that just to mess with her. Just to, it'll go away in a sec. I think. If not, this could be a.
Not soon enough for my sanity.
It's like 15 seconds long. It's so great.
Great.
My goodness. All right. Let's see. Before we get going, let's plug a few things and then we'll get started. So, Delta Green's going to continue to be our Fridays for probably another month, I think. And then I don't know what we're going to do on Fridays yet. We were still figuring some stuff out. Saturdays, we're doing One Ring, so you can kind of come check that out. We'll be diving into the Fellowship phase for the first time tomorrow if you want to come see that. And then we'll be starting up a new adventure. On Monday, we'll be back to Ultraviolet Grasslands. And if you check the YouTube page, you can see the first episode of Deadlands that we played in this past week, which is alternating with UVG on Mondays. So Weird West cowboy stuff, which is really great. You can learn about the glory of Scarlet Justice. We have a Canadian vigilante that joined the party. Very weird. I don't know what the hell's going on that one already, and we're one episode in. But yeah, let's dive into this game though, because this has been consuming us for almost a year at this point. Me a little bit longer because I started reading beforehand. Yeah. I remember getting up at like 1 o'clock in the morning and seeing shadows in the hallway still. Like I still remember that. Like it freaked me out when I first read this.
The marionettes, Jeff.
Yeah, for me, like I was talking about ahead of the, like before we went live, is like Melissa and I watched Archive 81. Someone mentioned this on YouTube as well. It's like we watched an Archive 81, and there's a like a Netflix show. There's a scene in Archive 81 where like one of the characters turns around the corner, like, and he's in one building, and he's in his building, and he goes down a hallway, and suddenly he's in a different one. I'm like, this is Night Floors right here, like, and that's my nightmare. That's what's gonna happen one of these days. I'm gonna get up to leave my bedroom. I'm gonna look around. Suddenly, I don't know where I'm gonna be. Like it's just gonna be a completely different location. It's gonna freak me out. So anyway, let's introduce characters. Ashley, tell us about Chelsea.
Chelsea, she's our local intelligence analyst. She used to be really into ghost hunting, but that's a little tame right now compared to all the weird nonsense she's been exposed to. She's died twice so far this campaign. I got stabbed once by like a ghost man in a bathroom, and then another time it was the marionettes, right? Yeah.
You died twice? What are you talking about? You died once. What was the other time?
Oh god, am I fucked?
I don't know. Like what was the other time? When did she die twice? I don't remember her dying
with
twice.
the marionettes trying to save Fawn, and then I woke up in my room in Hotel Broadalbin.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You were
completely
actually fucking with my mind.
Hotel Broadalbin. What's this place you're talking about? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
okay.
You're just talking nonsense, Ashley. You're just talking on.
Well,
okay.
This is great.
Okay.
Let
All
me
right.
just message Gabe that I need therapy.
Who's Gabe?
Oh God.
I don't remember a laundry woman at all. That's right. I don't remember. Oh goodness. All right. Next up, Long. Tell us about Agent Vessel.
Yeah, I think I'm still Agent Vessel, but I'm a FBI agent, bar owner, the physical one, and I believe I got gunned down once. Don't know how that happened.
I'm sorry. What? The physical one? What do you mean by that?
Just meant like physical strength, sort of soldier type.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like the physical bar. I'm like, is there a different kind?
Oh, no.
Like,
I was like, do we have a lawyer?
I
Like,
know, right?
how to do the bar exam?
all this whole time. Yeah, you got cut in half by a shotgun blast from a dude wearing a gas mask chasing you guys through the streets of Boston and through time and space. Who knew? Who knew?
Yeah, last I remembered, I was getting gnawed on by some flying creature.
That is true. You guys did have a little fight as you were trying to navigate.
You
Carcosa.
didn't die though, so that's
You didn't die. Yeah. That was rough. Speaking of dying to flying creatures, Derek, tell us about album.
Yeah, so I am Agent Album. So I used to be an astrophysicist. That was a long time ago. Turns out, despite having training in physics, physics was literally my downfall. And so I died recently. Not in a badass way. I wasn't shot. I wasn't stabbed. I was killed by the thing that I spent my whole life studying. There's got to be some kind of irony to that, but as a physicist, he would not understand irony, so it's not an equation.
You got like tail whipped by a giant flying whale inside of a lake of mist. That's kind of cool.
That
I don't
does
know.
make it sound cooler, but I walked off a ledge in a lake.
I mean,
Which
yeah,
is
there's
less good.
that. Yeah, that led to it. Yeah, like it was possible you could have gotten swallowed by that thing, but it's the new year. I'm just gonna have you crash. But hey, you didn't even die. You're fine. You're fine. You're
Yeah,
walking around talking. I don't know why we're talking about you dying. You didn't die. You just fell. No big deal.
Got stitched together by magic thread.
You're like barely, not even a scar at this point. Looks great. Looks great.
your
The
spine totally didn't snap.
Dr. Pillowcase and his son did a really good job on you. Yeah, for sure.
Pillow doc for the win.
Pillow docs. Yeah. And then the true big bad of the campaign, the real evil behind it all. We have Melissa. Tell us about Fawn, the only person who hasn't died. Interesting.
That's the most interesting feature of Fawn is that she has not yet died, or so we think. She got to talk to herself on either ends of a laundry chute. That was great. So she's the archaeologist historian, works in the National Park Service. Has always been really, really bad at anything fighting related, like firearms or anything else. So there's that. I'm sure that's not going to come to play in any way. The fact that she can't shoot things or punch things or do anything like that, I'm sure that's not going to be her downfall at some point. And it'll be fine.
No, I think
It'll
you're
be fine.
fine.
I just
think
need to
you're gonna be
keep doing
fine.
history checks like last episode because, I have an 80 in that. So that's what I need to just keep doing.
When did you do a history check last episode? I don't even remember that.
I think it was just because I had 80, I was able to.
Oh, okay. It was one of those free ones. Okay.
Yeah. But I like that.
Right
because
on.
It's actually something I know.
That's one of my favorite things about Delta Green, to be honest. Is like just the free stuff. You don't even have to roll it. Like in certain situations, your skill's so high, like there's no reason to roll the die. You automatically get the information. I've always really liked that, and also I think it just keeps the game moving in certain situations, which is really, really nice. Like you just get it, which is great. It doesn't work all the time. Doesn't make sense to do all the time, but there's a lot of situations where it's just like, let's just get on with it, And I like that. I've always really liked that. Dice are fun, totally. Like they're really great. They throw chaos into the situation, and chaos can always be very fun. But sometimes it's like, yeah, I have a 90% in physics, so yeah, I think I can do the quadratic equation really fast. Like I don't really think that's something I need to have to roll for. So yeah. All right, so let's get started. Last time. We started part 4. You all awoke after these strange dreams that you've probably had since you were kids. You don't necessarily remember how you arrived, but you arrived at the shore of a place called Lake Hattie, which is something you've heard about here or there. You've seen, some of you have read the play and this and that, but you arrived on a shore of a lake, a kind of this windswept lake, ruined city all over the place that looked somewhat familiar to all of you. You started to explore it a bit, and you found that you had a strange but incredibly unreliable control over the city. Like it almost seemed at times like you could manifest things, like just the strength of will of your mind possibly could help you. But then other times when you relied on it too heavily, or when, who knows, when chaos just interrupted you, things went terribly wrong as well. So it's an interesting experiment, one that you might want to continue messing with to see if you can figure it out. Who knows? But during the course of searching around, you found these boats. You found that were incredibly light despite their size. You found that upon touching the lake, it turned to mist, and it looked like we were all going to get on a boat, but then Album wanted to kind of wade in and take a look, and then he just fell, and once again, swim checks were Derek's. Poor Derek. Did you also know Derek doesn't know how to swim in real life too? That's the true irony, which is great. Or is it irony? I don't know. Coincidence. But yeah, you eventually started moving down, like just with your mind, sort of thinking like, I wish we could go, and you did, and the boat began sinking. As you were sinking through this deep, deep mist, you noticed there was a city at the bottom of the mist lake, which looked a lot like the one up here, except it wasn't ruined. And you also encountered a massive whale creature and some other smaller, almost like manta ray-like creatures that attacked you as you all were trying to descend, nearly killed you all, but you managed to fend them off. Eventually, when you reached the bottom of the lake, you touched down on an avenue, a street, and what otherwise looked like kind of like a Victorian city almost to some degree, but different. You know, it had some familiar architecture, but also a lot of alien, strange, different foreign architecture that wasn't really representative of like a Victorian England or something like that. But it was close. You found the body of Album laying there on the ground, and he had a massive slash going down his back as if his spine had been severed. Fawn started wandering about, and I think Fawn and Chelsea did, looking for help amongst some of these actually relatively intact buildings. And you found a family of three, mother, father, and son, who were willing to help you, but they had pillowcases over their heads that were soaked in blood and brain matter, had bullet wounds, definitely seemed like the type of people who had bags put over their heads and were executed. When you went inside their home, it looked like it had been horribly ransacked. There was a room where 3 chairs were set up and there was blood pooling on the ground, probably the site of their execution, yet they were still managing to function and move around and talk with you and offer you tea. And not only that, help Album, because the father was a doctor, the son was apparently trained to be a doctor, helped Album. I think he even helped Vessel as well with a small little cut or bruise. They offered to put you up. You rested, but by the time you woke up, they were gone. No signs of them whatsoever. But there still was their kind of the execution room is still intact. You started to explore the city because some of you are have different knowledge of the place, of what this area is, what Carcosa is, what Itil is, and other names that are just entering into your brain. Maybe you read about them, maybe you didn't, you're not entirely sure. But you constantly see this palace on the horizon. It's there, it's looming, and for one reason or another, like there is this sinking feeling that's the way out and through. That's how you get out of here. That's how you find whatever revelation you need to find down here. And so you started moving towards it and exploring these streets, which were largely empty. You had at times found these circuitous routes where the streets were blocked, the avenues were blocked by rubble here and there. And at one point you went into a building. This is where we ended. And it was a artist garret, like top floor attic like studio. It was filled with sculpting and painting tools and sculptures in various stages of progress, but they all seemed to be smashed or ruined in some way, except for one. This beautiful sculpture of a nude young man that was basically as true to life as a photograph would put Michelangelo to shame. And as Chelsea was inspecting it, she noticed that there was a glow kind of coming out from underneath it. And the closer she got, as she got fairly close to it at one point, there was a massive flash in the room. And a second later, the statue was gone, and in its place was the same young man that you saw as the statue, except now living. And so that is where we'll go ahead and we'll start up. So let me get my stuff going here. Little music. Okay. Flash happens. All of you look around and kind of blink your eyes, get the glare away. And there is this young man, 20s maybe, was in the pose of the statue and is now flesh and seems to be rubbing at his eyes. What do you guys do?
Well, Chelsea takes a step back.
Okay.
And she'll like address the statue. Who are you?
And the eyes kind of, as he finishes kind of rubbing whatever was in them, he looks around and you can see he's got this he's very clearly disoriented, Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can immediately tell he looks very confused. He's kind of looking at you and he's looking at those standing behind you, and then you can see as his face begins to shift around the room and kind of taking in the surroundings. He's just sort of almost offhandedly mentions, "I'm Clark," as his head kind of turns around, and you can see like the face kind of contorts distress at everything he's looking at. You can tell very clearly like he's looking at the smashed statues, the smashed, the tools, the equipment. He's saying,
"What did you do to this beautiful place? What is wrong with you people? This was a place of art. How dare you? How could you do such a thing?"
Now, the three of you, outside of Chelsea, don't necessarily recognize that. Chelsea, you can understand him. He is speaking in a language that is, we've come to know as Tartessian.
Oh, okay. So Chelsea will address him back in Tartessian and just be like, "We just got here and the room was like this. How long have you been here?"
Where is Anorak? Where is he? Is he here? Anorak! Anorak, where are you? Where are you? What have you done to him? What have you done to him?
We haven't done anything. Who's Alarak?
Anorak, he is the artiste, the sculptor. I was posing for him. What is wrong? Oh, no, please tell me he did not go off to fight in the war. No, this is, oh.
And suddenly he realizes that he is not wearing anything, and so he's like, "Oh,
I must go. I must look into this."
And he starts kind of hastily putting together whatever kind of rags and clothes. None of it looks, great around, but he's starting to dress fairly quickly.
Oh, no. Oh, that fool. Oh, you're such a fool. Oh, he's, no.
Let's see, Vessel.
So
Hang
we
on.
just see them talking in a language that we can't understand either of
Well,
them.
yeah, you can hear both of them. 1 second. Yeah, none of the three of you can deduce the specific language.
So, I mean, at that point, once he's starting to get dressed, Chelsea will give a brief synopsis, translation to the group, and be like, "There was an artist here. Apparently, he was modeling for. His name's Alarak."
No. Anorak, what are you, deaf? Why can you not hear me? What is wrong? I've said his name multiple times. How have you not heard of him? He is a renowned artist within the city. What is wrong with you? His homeland celebrates his work. One day we hope it shall be within. He shall have shows within the gallery deeper in the city. He has worked very hard at this. Now you don't even recognize his name, and you smash and destroy the very beautiful studio with which we spent so many hours together.
We didn't smash his studio.
So you say. I see no one else here, though.
There's hardly anybody here. We were looking for people.
And you don't know if he's like just mad at you or if he's just like, you're getting the sense that he's just
frustrated.
He's just frustrated and confused, and he's still trying to and he's like going through drawers and trying to find clothes that would fit and stuff like that. Some of it he pulls out like, oh, rags, oh, yeah, and he throws it off to the side.
Maybe Anorak is deeper in the city. Could you help lead us there? We'll help you look for him.
I do not know you. I do not want to help you, but I shall go look for him. If you need, you can. I am not your tour guide. I have other things to do. I must find him. I must find him. He was a bleeding heart. He wanted good. He wanted to help. He wanted to fight. But I said no. You are too beautiful for that. You must give the world your art. That is what you must do. Violence is not part of you, Anorak. You bring beauty in the world. You do not bring violence.
I mean, there's been lots of violence out there. You might want us to come with you.
No. I must go. You people, you ransackers, you coming into his home and going through his things, all while he is trying to be hero. And you just stealing. He has no money, I tell you. He is artist. We do not think for money. Valuables, not here. Just you've destroyed everything of value in here already.
And at this point, Chelsea's just kind of like, all right, dude, I guess. You totally weren't just a statue 15 seconds ago, and now you're a human.
So, while this is happening, Fawn wants to try to circle around him just to see, does he have a head injury? Does he, I'm trying to look for some, because we just had the pillowcase family that they were clearly had a means of becoming deceased.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's alertness is high enough. No signs of injury. He actually, when he came out of his statue form, he was fairly immaculate. He looked just like the statue. He was just perfect height, perfect pose, perfect skin, perfect musculature. Everything just looks intact, and he is putting on clothes that are probably far beneath a man as beautiful as him.
Fawn would look through, try to also kind of pull out some drawers and see if, because she can't understand the conversation, but see if she can. He seems to be looking for clothes, so she'll also kind of look in drawers and see if she can find something.
Yeah, go ahead, roll a search. Maybe you'll get.
Nope. That's
you find
43.
You find nothing better than what he seems to be finding, and he's at this point he's buttoning up a very old and worn and dusty coat. And he's like,
if you are true in what you say and you did not destroy this place, then I must apologize, but I must go find him. I must help him. He is not a man who is capable of violence. He has a big heart, but not a very strong constitution of violence. The city, it is our homeland, has been under siege for some time and he, like many others, wants to overthrow the false king. But I tell, no, he would not. I must find him, though. Goodbye to you. If there are things within here, yes, you are welcome to them. Whether you are those who initiated this demolition, or if you are just happening by. But I must go. Goodbye to you. and to the others, whoever they may be, goodbye.
And you see him like kind of look around, and he goes out a door, trying to like following the steps, kind of going. That's a loft, so it's not even a door. You just hear footsteps as he's hurrying away.
What was all that about?
He's looking for the artist who was carving him. He was modeling for, and he thinks that he went to go help in the war.
Oh. Well, by the state of things outside, that was probably bad. So let's see what we've come across so far. So we've come across the object of an artist, and then which someone would want to create the perfect sculpture. And then we have a family that seems like they were murdered in a place where if you wish for something, maybe it happens and maybe it doesn't.
Well, we do know that this place is like, what is it? It's just like a util forever being consumed, basically. So like it's a living reflection of like the past. So these are all things we can presume that happened, that have been.
Sure.
But yeah. Chelsea will kind of want to follow after that guy.
Okay. So after speaking with Vaughn for a moment, you rush down the stairs. You push open the front door that was already kind of swinging back and forth in the wind. He clearly went through it. You look off to your right, you look to your left, you look for any sign of him, and you see like just like the tail end of like his flapping coat, like 100 feet off to the west, or not west, to your left, like kind of disappearing down an avenue. You start running across this courtyard on which this 2-story attic roofed building now sits, and you get to the edge of the alleyway, and you see him turning once more, this time down like a right hand turn into between these two, looks like apartment buildings, and again you see like the tail of his coat. You run, and as you turn around that second corner and you look down this long street with no other turnouts, he's nowhere. He's gone. Either you've misjudged it, or he's found a secret entrance, secret way. You look at some of the buildings to the left and the right there, and rubble, they're destroyed, and it doesn't look like he could be hiding within them, but
Does it seem like I'm any closer to like the palace in the center?
still just seems to be hovering on the horizon, this like big, massive shape. Like doesn't seem like you're any closer than you were yesterday or earlier today or whatever amount of time has passed, which you start to realize now is you're not sure. Actually, the memory of awaking at the lake is become almost a vague one at this point, where it could have been hours ago, it could have been weeks. Your head's kind of getting cloudy in the thought of time.
Yeah, I'll start like I'm not gonna run, but like making my way back towards them as best I can.
Okay. What are the three of you doing?
Just let you guys know, I don't know about dilly-dallying around these weird places, but I need to make it to that palace.
I mean, don't all of us
Y'all?
have to make it there?
That's true, but I prefer if we didn't waste any time with this.
We don't even know how much time has passed since we've been down here.
That is also true, but it doesn't seem like we're getting any closer.
No, it seems like the more we fight, the more it resists.
What do you mean
So
by
at this
fight?
point, you see Chelsea come around the corner, and like you're all, we'll say you're all in that courtyard out in front of the home. Sorry.
Yeah, what did you mean by fight?
Well, it just seems like the more desperate we are to get closer, the longer it takes in our own perception of time. It just seems like it comes closer or it doesn't come closer on its own decision. I don't know a better way to put it.
And with that, I'd probably let's just keep trying.
So we're all just thinking in our heads that we want to get to the palace. I want to try something.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out something that was in kind of one of the poems.
All right.
So I want to try going around the block, kind of. Like I want to see if there's anything in the drawers that's like a chalk or something that can make a mark.
So in the painter studio.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you start looking through the all of the various like drawers. You go through some of like what looks like these kind of old buckets, which you think might have been kind of tools or some other items. And yeah, you do in fact find what looks like kind of a colorful old piece of chalk.
Okay.
It's not quite. It's like an off-white. It looks a little dirty, like there's kind of smudges on it, but it could work.
Okay. And do I also find anything that is sharp? Any sort of sculpting implement that?
You're looking. So you're looking for like what, like a painter's knife or something like that.
Yeah. Something that can be turned into a stabby.
Okay, so you're looking for a knife, is what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, as you start flipping through, it's a painter's knife, so it's not as effective probably as like a combat knife or something like, or a bayonet that you would put at the end of a rifle or whatever. But like you do find what looks like more like a scraper. In a pinch, it could probably work. It's a little rusted and dull and old. You're not sure, but yeah, I mean, it could be useful. You're not sure if it's any more or less useful than your mag light, but yeah.
Okay. And so she's going to kind of run through kind of the saying from before, the Abigail Wright has gone to sea, crossed the waves to rescue me. Kind of did it. In a ship both tall and fine, she rounds the corner marking time. And we seem to be having issues with how much time has elapsed, where are we going? So what I want to do, guys, is I want to try kind of going around a block and sort of mark when I go around and just see what that does, because this means something. Rounding the corner, marking time means something.
So you're
So
just
I'm gonna
marking buildings
inside.
and rubble and stuff, or little spots on the road. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I like first thing I want to do is just sort of make a circle around this building and just see what happens. If I just walk
Okay.
around, make a mark, walk around, make a mark in the same place to like count kind of my path.
Okay. Vessel, are you waiting for this or are you going? Because I know you had mentioned you were going to keep going. I just want to give you an opportunity. So if you want
Yeah, I
to
like
keep...
our idea. Whoever thought thing, I'll just wait for her to.
Okay.
do
All
it.
right. All right. So Fawn, you get this piece of chalk. You go around and you find like flat spots that are easily enough to draw on. You make a sign. Maybe the yellow. No, you don't make the yellow sign. You just make a sign somewhere.
Just a hash mark, yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of move about. You go around, and after you make your first pass around this block, this kind of courtyard area with like these spiraling outward spokes, these avenues, and like there's a handful of these cascading apartment buildings and what looks like old shops and haberdasheries and things like that. You notice that your first time around the block, half of the marks that you made Okay, like, so this is your first return trip around. They're missing. And you notice that the other half aren't where you left them. So you place one on what looked like just beneath a window sill, of which you imagine was probably some sort of food shop. And when you return, you can see that same mark that you made, that same hash, is now almost looks like a piece of rubble that's stacked up on a pile of debris on the road itself. And then there's still others that almost are close to being in the right place, but not quite. And so it's but as you're watching them, everything's fine. You're kind of keeping a close eye, but then you kind of go around, and then they just start to, on your second pass through, they seem to have shifted. They seem to have moved, adjusted in some way. And then other times as you're moving, you see something out of the corner of your eye, just sort of a strange flicker, an undulation in the ground. And when you look over where once was just flat cobblestone road, you now see a small undulating hill that wasn't there before. You get the sense the city is shifting in some way around you, or at least these buildings, these sections, the construction matter, everything's shifting, mutating in some way.
Good gracious. And is there any discernible, like, can I make anything of that? Like, obviously things are changing, but beyond that, is there any sort of conclusion that...
I mean, there's like, this isn't the first time you saw this. Like all of you kind of saw this when you first got here. Like you kind of put two and two together, that like out of the corner of your eye, when you're not paying attention to something and you just kind of catch it, something changes, something shifts. And when you look over, it's different. It's sometimes building, like an entire building that you thought was there a moment ago, you look over and it's gone. Or a 2-story building is now a 1-story building. In terms of anything beyond that, like discerning pattern, causality, that all escapes you.
So when I go around the corner and I come back, the mark has changed, it's different. The street has changed, it's different. And maybe I'm making the wrong kind of thought from this, but it seems like when you're not looking at something, it's when something changes. It's the stuff that's off to the side. It's when you kind of go around the corner and come back. So maybe if we want to get to the palace, maybe we don't look at the palace and go straight for the palace, but maybe we keep the palace off to the side. And then maybe we go somewhere else. And then maybe the next time we look over, it'll be closer. I don't know what else to try. This is just my thought. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I did see that happening back on the other side of the shore, or above the water. The buildings were changing when I went looking at them. So we could try something like that.
Open to other ideas, but if we've got kind of the roads that kind of go out in spokes, we've got options to go at this kind of
My
side.
only other thought is that we find the straightest path to the palace, turn our backs to it, and walk backward and see if that makes any difference.
If we're giving everything a try.
Also, just to throw that out there, didn't the Daisy Lynn's bottle, did anyone follow up on that? Didn't that come with us?
Last thing you saw was it rolling across the sand where you guys woke up as Album. It was in Album's hand, but then it rolled down the sand. I don't know if anyone picked it up. I don't think anyone picked it up.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Oh
Okay.
no, we left that on the sand. Crap.
Hey, if you guys want to swim back up and fight the whale, I'm down.
Album, the only way you get better at swimming is by failing at swimming.
So what are you guys
Whoa.
what are you guys doing? You've meandered around like Chelsea. Fawn's been at this for 7-8 hours at this point. It's getting ridiculous why she's taking so long. It's just absurd that she's literally been going round in circles for 7 or 8 hours. Fawn, for you, it feels like it's maybe been 10-15 minutes or so.
Yeah, if I feel like it's been that long, I'm just gonna pick a door, walk through it, and see what I find.
Okay. Yeah. So at that point, as like right after Fawn's done with her little speech, Chelsea just kind of gets up in a almost at a bit of impatience, pushes open a door down one of the avenues, and just continues marching. What are the rest of you doing?
So, if we've been given the idea of walking a different path, that means I've waited the 7-8 hours.
No,
What
for you,
felt
it's
like
maybe been like an hour. She's been doing this for like an hour.
Yeah, I'll go riff off of the idea, just like go towards a different goal, and hopefully maybe something changes.
Okay. So what is your goal? What are you going towards then?
Just walking down a path until the palace just shows up somehow.
Okay. All right, do you go with Chelsea, or are you splitting up?
I'll stick together.
Okay. All right, then Album and Fawn, what are you two doing?
If they're going in a direction that seems like it's going somewhere else, I'll also go with them. And then I'll kind of look at Album and just kind of ask, like, we're all going to stick together on this?
I guess, yeah. We have no choice, but
If it
we're
doesn't work, we
definite-
can try the walking backwards thing next.
Well, I think it would just be easier if we found somebody else to talk with and see if they know of a way to get there in some cryptic message that we can just decode.
Hopefully, as we walk this way, we'll come across somebody. But if we haven't, we'll stop them and go in a door.
All right, so the two of you hurry to catch up with Chelsea and Vessel. Chelsea, you're out kind of leading the way. Vessel, you're on her heels. Album, Fawn, you follow. Chelsea, go ahead and roll a sand test.
Okay. Failure, 20 over 11.
So you kick open this door, and like you're going through what amounts to like a fairly long but featureless room. And you can see that there's like no furniture. There's not even a staircase going up there. You could have sworn this was a 2-story room it's a 2-story building when you kick the door open, but it's just sort of this almost like a long and empty rectangular, almost like a barn in some ways. It has this smell of kind of something fresh and something flavorful. You can as you're kind of wafting through it, the scent of like cinnamon and like lavender are like wafting through what looks like these hanging vines and flowers on the walls. And when you get to the opposite end of the room itself, and you go to kind of push open the door, you hear a psst. And you look over to your right, and you can see there's this sort of small, almost like a dumbwaiter type size like window, like a slot has been pulled open, and you can see that there's another young guy, maybe 20s or so. He's got this carefully waxed mustache, and he's got these square glasses, like spectacles on, and he's just like, and he says to you, this way, come.
Oh yeah, at this point, I'm gonna follow.
Okay. So Vessel, you're just a few steps behind. You hear the creaking of some kind of door or in this room. It's very dark in here, but I'm sure, you have lights and stuff helping to navigate. You look ahead and you see a figure kind of wave down Chelsea, and then looks at you and waves at you, come. And then to Album and Fawn behind does the same thing. And you guys climb through what amounts to like this, again, like it's almost like a hidden trap door and a window, and it leads to what looks like a ladder. He climbs up, and you're in what looks like the second story apartment, very small. You can see that there's like an armoire that's kind of tipped over on its side by what seems like the proper entrance to the actual room itself. There's a window, and then there's this sort of wall entrance where the ladder comes up. And you can see that he immediately, as all of you huddle in, he's kind of looks like he's got a stack of like these, like a big bag on his on what looks like a cot, and he's rifling through it, and he quickly like wanders over towards Album, actually, as he pauses for a second as he pulls some like a bundle of something out of the bag, and he looks and he wanders up to Album and he hands it to him, and he says and actually let me roll for something really quick. And he says in what both Chelsea and Fawn, it's actually you're starting to pick up on it a little bit. He says,
You look like you know how to use this.
and so Album, he just reaches out, and it's what looks like 12 sticks of dynamite strapped around a ticking alarm clock, and it's just
Go, go.
he's just holding it out to you. He's like picks up your wrist, and he's like putting your hand underneath it as if
Take it. Take it.
and you don't know what he's saying.
Okay. Yeah, so upon seeing an explosive with a ticking time thing, Album's gonna like look around to like see if there's somewhere he can throw this thing out of. And be like, what the hell?
You want to throw it in. So if you move up to the window to go, he grabs her arm like, no, this is wrong, and he takes it from you. And he looks around again, and he goes over towards Vessel this time, and he does the same thing. Says the same stuff. Vessel, Album, neither of you understand it, and he kind of shoots a dirty look over at Album at that point.
What's wrong with this one?
I'll take a look at what he's handing me. What's going on there?
He says you know
Dynamite
what to
wrapped
do
around a
with this.
ticking clock. Yeah.
Can I take a little more detail on what the clock says at all?
It's a big, I guess it's not too big, but it's like about let's call it maybe 4 inches in diameter, and it's what looks like a kind of an analog clock, and it is ticking. You can see it's just a clock like you would normally see.
I'll look at Chelsea. He's like, what does he say? What does he want with this?
He says you look like you know what to do with this. And Chelsea will turn to him and be like, Where do you want this?
And he kind of points up into the sky out the window, and you can see he's just kind of pointing at the palace, and he says,
Death to the king. Now go, 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 go.
Okay.
Ask him how we get there.
Do you have a more direct route that we could take?
See Ambrose, old man at the pier. Go, go, go. Quick, go, go. Now. Before you are caught, go.
Oh, okay.
What are we doing with the dynamite? There's ticking dynamite. Can I... Vessel, a clock would be useful, but can you take the dynamite off of it before it blows us all up?
I would not mess with anything like that that's not been crafted unless you have bomb demolition expert.
Well, we didn't bring one here with us, did we? But is there something I would like to have a clock.
I have demolitions.
Well, can you take it apart?
So as you guys are leaving, and you're kind of climbing back down the ladder, and like Fawn saying this, he like reaches back into his bag, pulls out another bundle, and brings it over to Fawn like,
Here. If you want another, you can have this as backup. But remember, death to the king. Go, 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 go.
and he like kind of gives you like a encouraging like,
We got this.
and so now you have one as well. It's just
Fawn is freaking out. She's like, I didn't want dynamite.
wait, this
Our
is
group
freaking
has
out?
just doubled in explosive power, and I don't feel comfortable with this as a partial chemist.
I do not have demolitions.
So as you guys start climbing down, he'll push the trap door that got you up to the second door down as you guys climb down. He's like, go, 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 go. And he just like just to make sure that you're leaving. You guys climb down the ladder, you go back, you kind of work your way back out and out onto the street.
Is there a way I can like understand if this is gonna when this goes off or how this works at all?
Demolitions, or if you have craft mechanics, those are the two skills. Do you have either of those?
Yeah, I got some demo.
What's your demo at?
43.
Nice.
So you from what you can tell, it's set to go off. Like as you start messing around with it on the street, if you wanted to, you think you could probably disarm this. But you also see that it seems to be set to go off at midnight.
Well, this is set to go off midnight. I don't know when midnight is, so it could be any time.
Have we seen time? Yeah, I was going to say, have we seen time pass at all in terms of the sun or the moon in the sky?
No, not really. Not that you mention it. You kind of look up and you realize the sky still has that kind of foreign look to it. Like it doesn't look like the sky of Earth, and everything just sort of has this dark quality to it. Like it's almost like it's night at all times.
Vessel, I used to do this for a living. I have not seen the sun or the moon move across the sky at all. Now, this could be really good, meaning it never hits midnight, or this could be really bad, meaning we have no idea when midnight actually is because we have no anchors to base our time telling off of. Do with that what you will. And Album will shift away from the explosives and just kind of distance himself.
But Album, if this is what you do, and you can take this apart, then we have clocks that we can actually keep track of our time. Like we can set our own starting point. But
You could
can
say
you
that we could
take
mark
the
time.
clock off of the dynamite, please? I would feel better.
I can try disarming one. Either that works, or I'm blown into multiple pieces.
You feel pretty confident you can disarm these actually fairly easily. They don't look like the most confident things. With your 43% skill, you wouldn't have any trouble whatsoever at any point. You could probably teach her how to how to properly carry it and things like that to make sure it doesn't accidentally go off, like those types of things. I mean, the clock, like it's moving, it's functioning, but like you don't know what time it is. And as you're watching it, like the minute hands and the hour hands like aren't moving like properly. The second hand's moving just fine, so it's ticking like, it's tick 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 tick. But like hour and minute hands are just doing their own thing, man. They're just kind of not really moving at all. Doesn't look about like it just, who knows?
You know what? I'll give it a try. I'll try disarming them.
Okay, you don't have to roll. You can do it. So you can
I'll
just
just do
straight
it.
up do it. It's no problem. And so, yeah, one of them is disarmed. You can disarm. So Fallon's is disarmed. No problem.
I'll keep mine armed.
Okay. All right.
I would
So-
thank you to walk at least like several paces from me at all times. Thank you. Thank you much.
About 20 seconds after Vessel finishes disarming it, and he kind of, he's kind of keeping the dynamite and handing the clock back over to Fawn. All of you, as you're kind of standing around, you just hear this massive explosion behind you. That was not massive, but that was the best I got right now. As you look back and you can see the building that you just came in, you can look up to where the window was that he was pointing out of, has exploded in this massive fiery eruption. There's shards of wood and metal that are flown all sorts of different ways. Plumes of black smoke now just erupting into the air. What next, guys?
Guys, I'm not signed up to I'm not signed up to do another bombing. It's bad enough what happened in the 90s. I'm not doing that again.
So I don't know if you guys could understand him, but he was talking about Ambrose at the pier. That he would know something about how to get into the palace.
Yeah, I think that's we should speak to him.
Then let's find the pier.
Let's find the pier.
Who's leading the way?
At
Someone with high awareness.
one point, I heard I'm trying to read my notes, but there's a point where I heard, yeah. Tell Ambrose to send the phone now. Don't worry,
Yeah.
he has loads of them.
Yes. Yeah, you heard that. That was during part 3, and it was Bale's voice that you heard.
Yeah.
And you're the only one who was able to hear that.
Yeah, and I don't think I referenced all. So Chelsea's definitely interested in hearing about Ambrose. I'm probably leading the way again.
Okay. Roll a sanity test.
Okie dokie. 8 success.
Wow.
Okay.
That's rather impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
8 over 11. I don't know
So-
if it's good for me to pass or fail though. Anyway, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, you guys start moving away from the now exploded building where you met your bomb-making anarchist guy, Death to the King man, and you, as you're wandering, you don't feel yourself getting closer. You don't feel yourself getting further away. You're not sure if you're making a whole lot of progress. More than once, Chelsea, you get the distinct impression that you hear like something swinging, and you look over and you look to see a door if it's swinging, but that's not it. And like a tree in this kind of beautiful garden, like in the distance, like you can just see the shadow of like a swing moving back and forth. And as you kind of turn down this avenue and work towards it, you notice that like on your left, as you're passing by, there's this apartment. It's been completely destroyed. And you can see the windows have been blown utterly inward, and the curtains are flapping in the wind. And you can see that there's like paint is kind of slashed away. Like there's like no paint on the outside. It's all just like ripped apart by weapons fire and like this glass on the floor. But you can see that through the door, laying on the ground, you can see there's 3 men in what look like these very garish red military uniforms. And you can see that they apparently are all sprawled around like the other side of the building, which is missing a wall entirely, as there is a sandbagged machine gun nest that they all seem to be sprawled about. And they're all kind of pointing opposite to you.
Chelsea will see this, and then she'll kind of like turn back to the group to make sure that they're also seeing this, and like kind of like be quiet. Like I don't want to startle these people if they're possibly still alive.
So yeah, if you let Vessel know, Vessel and probably I guess Album too, you peek over. Both of you have very high alertness. So like when you look over, yeah, 2 of them appear to be dead. You're fairly certain, but one of them appears to still be breathing.
I think that one's still alive there.
And all of them are laying on the ground.
Do we help or?
I'll go up to him, like, see what's happened here, see if he's conscious.
Okay.
So with an active ticking bomb.
Vessel, you move into the building, and like on the good side, kind of moving across. Your feet kind of crunch on the glass that's all over the ground as you get closer, and all of you watch as the soldier that's breathing sits up. You see blood is streaming down from his nose, from his mouth, and he holds up a pistol, and he's got this weird grin on his face, and he just unloads it at Vessel.
No.
So let me make a roll here. And now, fortunately, the blood is streaming so terribly; it's in his eyes, and he just fires, and you can feel the bullets just embed into the plaster behind you, Vessel, and you can see the dust kind of kick off, and he just fires, and eventually you just hear like the clicking of an empty gun, and you see him just fall backwards, this big grin on his face. Maybe you take cover, you find and then count a moment or 2, but then the breathing stops, and he now comes to his end as well, and all 3 now are laying there, not breathing.
Do they have any identification on them?
Vessel, that was a bad idea. He had a gun.
You have the dynamite that's still connected to the clock. You need to be more careful.
So Chelsea, all you can see is that they're wearing these strange red military uniforms with like gold trim and like white collars and stuff. They're dirty, and they don't look like any uniforms that you're familiar with. Even if anybody has high history, like even I think Fawn, you have fairly high history.
I do.
They don't look recognizable. There's certain uniforms that they might look sort of similar to in some ways, but they're not. Like there's nothing about this that looks like something that like a military uniform you're familiar with.
Right. What about the weaponry? Like,
Okay. Yeah, you notice around them that each one of them seems to have a pistol, but looking at it, it looks old. You can roll if you want to roll history. Go ahead. If anyone has military science, let me know. You might be able to identify it.
that's a success. 380.
These are very old. So these are like I might not pronounce these correctly. Rothstare model 1907 pistols. They're kind of unique in the fact that they are loaded with these like stripper clips. So like these connected strips of like 10 bullets that are loaded in, and they're kind of auto fed in a way. Each holds about 10. And so, yeah, there's like each one of these guys has one of these pistols, in the area. And I'll carry it over. The other one you can see is this light machine gun that's been set up on a tripod. It is a little bulkier, probably. Like it's not the easiest thing to move around. The pistols are easy enough to pick up and take, and there does seem to be some ammo on their persons and around, but this one looks more like a Danish design from the late 19th century. So they're both like late 19th, early 20th century design, these weapons.
Can I try to look and see where the submachine gun was pointing? Like, what was its target?
Yeah, you see it very clearly pointed down a narrow alleyway. And it's like at the top of a hill, sloping downward down this alleyway here.
So Fawn will look over to Vessel and just say, "You've got your own firearm. I'm picking up things I can pick up in case we get in a fight again. You okay
Yeah,
if I
this
take
could be
this?"
useful.
And how many pistols were there?
There are 3. Each one of them is carrying one. So there's 3 total. You can see I just put them that you have access to now in the items directory. There's the Rothstire M1907. So there's 3 total.
Okay. Album, Chelsea, either of you want one? We don't know what we're going to be up against.
Sure. I've never been particularly good at firearms.
Brian,
Generally opposed.
take that out again.
I'll give him the basics. Just point and shoot.
I'm assuming each of these has like 6 shots in it or something.
10 actually.
10.
There's like a strip of 10 bullets. Yeah.
And we're
I
able
was
to pick
looking
up
at-
some extras.
Yeah.
I was looking
I'm
at
not gonna
Google
count it,
images.
so. Yeah, you see what it is? It's like it kind of feeds into the top.
Yeah, it's really cool actually.
It's kind of
I
cool
like
looking.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
So Fawn will make the suggestion to the group. So if they are anti-king and they're aiming towards that alley, maybe we need to go to that alley? Or do we try to continue to the pier?
Can't hurt to try. If we just follow the story of whatever it is we're dealing with, then it might get us there quicker.
Is there anything I can roll about, like, in the Tartessian book that I had? Did it have anything to do about the conflict that they had?
You had a dictionary.
Oh, just a dictionary. Never mind.
Yeah. I think it was Fawn who had a history of the Prusso-Hungarian Germano War, something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I didn't read that one.
Yeah, you had specifically a Tartessian dictionary. Yeah. Okay. What's next, guys?
Going to the alley.
Okay. Fawn, roll a sand test.
Oh dear. Oh, success. 8 under 17.
Okay. You start leading leading folks down the hill. Do you have your gun out?
In a super awkward, this isn't really something that I've done much before, but it's at the ready. Like not like
Okay.
up and out, but like in my hand.
Okay. So as you're up front, you do suddenly hear the sounds of like pattering feet, as if there's like someone, running nearby, and then you kind of echoes and you hear like a second set. And so you hear like sounds of like 2 feet pattering nearby. And as you peer down towards the end of what looks like a long, narrow, dirty alleyway that intersects with the hill that you're climbing down now, you can see that there's fairly two you would imagine maybe 12 to 15-year-old children that are running down the alleyway, and they look back and they lock eyes with you really quickly, and you realize they're both young girls, probably young teens, and they're kind of staring at you, eyes wide, and they have what looks like kind of just rags on, and they look utterly scared, and they just dart off to the right, and you can see them just diving behind what looks like a big pile of a rubble of building.
So Fawn will put the firearm in her bag, and kind of call after them and just say, "Girls, we're a little lost. Could you help us?" And she's going towards, kind of like slowly towards where they kind of disappear to.
Okay, roll a persuasion test as you move up carefully.
7 under 63.
Okay. You can see that the older one, the taller one, you can see kind of peeks around from behind the rubble and kind of looks down and sees you and kind of very gingerly steps out and says,
Why were you pointing a gun at us?
Oh, sorry. We just came across some soldiers, and they shot at my friend here. So we just wanted to make sure that didn't happen again.
You are carrying a gun. That means you too are a soldier.
No, we just didn't want to get shot by the soldiers. These were their guns. We're not soldiers.
But now you carry their guns, so that means you have taken up their fight?
I don't even know what their fight is. Something about trying to take down the king?
and like the ones, sort of the younger ones, like tugging at the clothes of, at the tails, like
many of them fight for different reasons. There's some who are fighting for the king, some who call him false king, but they don't care. Those who live,
and she kind of gestures with their heads towards the palace.
Those who live up there do not care what happens here. People kill and fire and shoot, and we have not seen our parents for quite some time. Our father and our mother, they went off to fight, and they have not returned. No one has returned. And now we see you in your strange clothing moving towards us with guns, and you say you are not soldier, but you are here in Warfield. What zone?
We just came in yesterday. We think it was yesterday. We don't even know the name of the king here.
She just no reaction to that whatsoever.
Does he have a name that everyone
No
calls
reaction to that whatsoever. She's just
We must go. We must go. We cannot be seen talking to you. You draw these soldiers' attention to us. We must go. We must go. Come.
And the two of them, she just grabs her little sister and starts to run like across what looks like a broader boulevard to the other side of the street.
Can I kind of follow after and see where they go?
Yeah, you chase around for a bit, but similar to what happened with Chelsea, it's like they just kind of get ahead of you, and then they make a left, and you think you're catching up, and they make a right, and then at a certain point you just lose track of them. They disappear into a building, or they crawl beneath some rubble, or through a grate that you can't fit through.
So Fawn will just go back to the group. I mean, what we already knew. There's a war. There's people fighting for the king. There's people fighting against the king. People in the palace don't care about the people out here. Same story. Any war. Doesn't bring us any closer to how to get there, though.
In chasing the girls, are we any closer to the palace if we look?
Roll sand test, Album.
Success, 13 under 27.
Doesn't seem so, no.
Well, so far, playing into this. All right, let's think about this, what we've learned so far. At some point, there was something that mentioned that it's all a part of a play. So if we're all just characters and some grander things to story, I thought that perhaps by following whatever things come our way might lead us closer. But in looking right now, it doesn't seem like we are any closer.
I mean, the guy with the bomb did say Ambrose would be able to tell us how to get into the castle.
Yeah, but we haven't stumbled across him so far.
But he's at the pier, and we're not.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta find water then. Last I checked, piers were next to water, right? That came across very smartass. I guess that fits album.
It does fit. It tracks.
Was
That
there
was
a pier?
album, not me.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
there a
yeah,
pier
okay.
when was there a pier when we came in?
What do you mean when you came in?
Well, we came from the sky.
When we came down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
You don't know, but like there's the city's enormous, and he, so he did say deeper in the city, so like by the pier or whatever. So
Yeah. Chelsea's just gonna keep on trucking, trying to find the pier.
okay.
Fawn will say to Album, I mean, if we're just going to keep going along, we might as well try your other thing. And so, like, while we're going in that direction, like, Fawn will turn around and walk backwards. Like, why not?
Okay. Okay. Chelsea, roll sand test.
We are crushing these, and I don't necessarily want to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. 6 out of 11.
Damn it.
Yeah. So you continue to move in the direction, like you're like, you get the idea in your head, Chelsea, like Ambrose Pier. You just keep thinking that in your mind. And as you turn around a corner, you see in front of you this large and very beautiful, but somewhat broken, likely from some sort of explosive round, a beautiful fountain in front of you. Still functional, water still like shooting up out of it at times. It looks like there's what looks to be the residue of sculptures. Maybe it was from the artiste that you heard about before, maybe not. But when you move to the edge of it, you can see that there's like floating around, like in the actual pool itself, you can see there's these small little pads of leaves, these kind of violet colored flowers of some kind that seem to be sitting on top. You can see that the water itself is fairly dark, muddy from like dirt and residue, it seems, but you can see flickering in the water below it, there are these coins of some kind that are reflecting light off like maybe a lantern or a flashlight, whatever you all have on you.
Chelsea's gonna sit down on like the edge of the fountain to like just take like a brief rest. So she's just like digging through her purse, like trying to find something that might help us. And like she's like mentally like going through the play, trying to recall like, God, what else do we need to do? Like, I don't get it. And she'll take out a coin and she'll make a wish and she'll toss it into the fountain.
Okay. What's the wish?
Just that we can quickly just, no, actually, she wouldn't be that positive. She'd be more selfish about it. That she herself can get to the palace and get through.
Okay. You toss it in, you think in your mind your wish, and you see in the water of the fountain, you can see the reflection of the palace begin to grow large and clear. The size obviously doesn't make sense, and you look up and you look down, but there it is right there. It's just beautiful, crystal, perfect vision of the actual palace that you've been staring down, that kind of minaret with the bulbous top.
What happens if I touch the water?
You reach down, you touch the water, and you see just all of the water just turn to mist and just begin to float up. When it once it floats up and away, and you can kind of see it's still sort of shifting around inside the fountain somewhat, like the image of the actual palace is gone. And you do see that the flickering things in the middle of the fountain itself, you can hear something flopping around inside. Just, and you can see the mist kind of moving ever so slightly with each.
Yeah, she's gonna definitely check it out at this point. Like, weirder shit has happened. So you guys will watch as Chelsea just kind of flips her legs over, so they're dangling into the fountain, and she just.
Yeah, you feel something like slap against your legs, against your feet, your shoes, etc. You feel your feet hit bottom, like it hits bottom, but you hear like something flapping against you. And you realize at this point, like, you think that might not have been coins that was flickering, maybe fish. There might be fish in here, and they are flapping around inside of the mist.
Can I like get one of the fish?
Yeah, roll a dex times 5.
Meanwhile, behind you, Fawn's gonna be like, Chelsea, what are you doing?
It's a failure.
You reach your hand down to grab whatever it is that's down there, but instead you feel something nick your finger, and you kind of retract, and you see blood just sort of dripping down the middle of your finger, where you're not sure if you were bit or if you hit a sharp scale, something like that, but your finger is now bleeding.
She'll like pop it out, and she'll like immediately pop it into her mouth, which probably might not be the greatest thing to do, but trying to stem the bleeding. And she just kind of shrugs, and she's like, I thought I saw the castle.
Oh. And then I wonder if all the water here does that. Turns to mist.
Chelsea, roll a sand test.
Failure.
Go ahead and take 1 point of HP back. As you retract the finger from your mouth, you look down, and there is no wound whatsoever.
Okay.
But you had like a fairly large gash right down the middle. Take it out, and it's completely, utterly gone. No signs of the wound itself. There's residue of some of the blood that you didn't quite manage to slurp up.
I've done weird things with blood.
I know, that's why I said I figured it fits.
You know?
Yeah.
So did we see it turn to mist, or was that only?
Yeah, you guys all saw that.
So did you learn anything about where we should go next?
No, I just thought I saw the castle.
Can I tickle it as well then into the fountain?
Yeah, you see the same thing in the sense that there's like the mist kind of shifting around and moving around, and you hear that same like flopping around of something inside the fountain itself. All of it's sort of the same that I explained to Chelsea. Nothing's different as you peer inside.
Can I see my reflection at all?
Not anymore, as there's just mist now. But had you gone up initially, you would have seen kind of like a muddy reflection of yourself.
So Chelsea, you said you thought you saw the palace in the water. Was it in the same place? Was it bigger?
It was just there in the water. I could see it. And like it's not necessary. I don't know for sure if it's in like a necessary like it's looming above where you can see it in the water naturally, but and like at this point it's felt like it's been forever for Chelsea and she's frustrated that we haven't gotten there yet. And so she'll just kind of like sigh, stand up, and like just dust her pants, like the back of her pants where she was sitting on the fountain. And what options does she have to like walk towards if she's gonna?
Yeah, you're in this beautiful like it's actually prior to when whatever kind of broke out here. This probably was a very beautiful courtyard with a fountain. You can see that there's a handful of shops that seem to be in this area. They don't see apartments, but you see shops. You see old kind of like swinging signs here and there, some that have fallen completely and broken on the ground, others that are still intact, signs for what looks like various places like you see like a tavern. You can see what looks like some kind of sort of like carriage parking area, but you can see like spreading out in 4 different directions. There's the path that you took to get here, and you can see these 3 other paths. One of them seems to go directly at and underneath the palace as it's looking down on you, and then there's another one that goes kind of off to the right and off to the left, like spreading out, kind of running more parallel towards it.
She's gonna take one of the ones parallel to the palace to where it's kind of like in the side of her vision, but like she's not necessarily looking at it, playing off of what we were trying to do earlier to see if we can get closer to the palace.
What are the 3 of you doing? Are you following her, or are you doing something else?
On would like to also grab a coin.
I mean, do you put your hand inside? No one grabbed a coin. Like, do you want to put your hand inside the mist?
I'm assuming in my bag I had a coin.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine.
And so she wants to like flick the coin into the mist in the fountain.
Okay. So you flick the coin into the mist, and the sound of that one thing flopping around suddenly echoes, and now you hear 2 things flopping around inside of the mist.
Vaughn will grab another coin and flick it in.
Yeah, same thing happens.
Guys, So I put a penny in, and now it seems like the penny is moving inside.
Stranger things have happened.
It's fair at this point.
She's gonna.
Okay. So are you staying around? I mean, Chelsea's moving off now. She's like wandering down the street. So if you continue to play with the fountain, you're doing so while Chelsea now is moving away from the group.
Album's gonna follow Chelsea.
Yeah, I'd like to catch up as well.
Okay.
Play with this
So now, Fawn, you watch as like Vessel and Album kind of run off down that right path, and leaving you alone now with like the sounds of like 3 different flopping, strange creatures flopping around inside of this misty fountain. Do you stay behind or do you follow them?
No, she's gonna kind of like, as she's going away, she's gonna just kind of throw one more in and just kind of think to herself like, I really hope we get there soon. Get to the palace soon.
Okay. And you know, like a 4th something starts to spawn. You can see what looks like fins and start to appear, like just barely between like the little wafts of mist. Chelsea, roll a sand test.
While we're walking, Album's gonna ask, does anybody have that book, A World Without Doors?
I don't know that we would have it on us. Like, I feel like it's something that we had. I just don't know if in all of our travels, if it's something that would have like
I
made it
only
into
have
a bag.
the red covered copy of the play, like the original book that I found.
Wasn't the cover of A World Without Doors like two cities sitting
Mhm.
on top of each other or reflecting off of each other or something. I wonder if that would have had any clues in it.
So, Chelsea, you guys walk for maybe 20, 30 minutes. You slowly start to feel as though, like, you're kind of almost being herded in some way. As fewer and fewer alleyways seem passable, you start seeing various street avenues are suddenly collapsed upon themselves. You see what looks like barricades have been stacked up here and there, wrapped with barbed wire. You can see what looks like these huge old crates of supplies. You can start to see parked trucks that seem to be blocking routes. At one point, you even backtrack a bit, finding your forward path blocked. As you retreat, you can see that a different avenue is suddenly opened up to you. And it's at this point that all of you begin to hear what sounds like these sort of like far off like sounds of like gunfire, and explosions are sort of beginning to hear, almost like artillery that fire. And as you look about on the horizon, you can even see distant signs of like smoke, and you can see what looks like even fire flickering over the tops of these smaller rubble strewn lots that are almost impossible for you to actually cover. And you realize, like, at a certain point, like, some of that fire, like, is actually spiking against the walls near you. Vessel, you can see, like, the plaster suddenly ripping off, like, the wall that you just walked by. You see almost like a comical shape of your head as the bullet holes are just kind of falling, and, like, the plaster revealing brick behind it. Like, Album, Fawn, the two of you being the last, you hear an explosion behind you, and all of a sudden, brick just erupts about 15 feet behind you as a detonated artillery shell has just ripped open the entire street. You can see that as Chelsea's kind of leading up in front, like there's like as you're reaching what looks like the end of this, the only alleyway that didn't seem to be barricaded by some or blocked by something kind of keeping you from moving forward. You see just bullets whiz past, one from the left, one from the right. You can see, like, up ahead, sprawled in the middle of the road, you can see that there's a soldier, like, in this black uniform with some kind of fez type helm that's kind of loosely hanging. They seem to have slowly kind of crawled and sort of have themselves kind of left like half sitting up, half laying down against what looks like a stack of exploded cobblestone. You can tell from this distance that they appear to be like gut shot. Like they have like there's just this huge like soggy mess in the middle of their body. You can see that they're carrying, I would say, Vessel, Album, you guys have the highest alertness. They have like a kind of a peculiar looking weapon, this sort of strange sort of bolt action rifle here and there, but they're about maybe 20 feet ahead of you. You'd have to like cross the road here. When you turn around and you look behind you, you can see Album and Fawn. Like, you two are the last to enter in this fairly long and narrow alleyway, and you look behind, and suddenly behind you there's what looks like some kind of military vehicle that's parked behind you. It looks like the tires have been shot out, and that blocks your path going backwards.
Fawn's like ducking, like
Yeah.
like
I mean, it's
ducking and,
it's
getting
constantly
to, like, a
firing.
wall.
Like, you're hearing this left and right. You're hearing explosions near you, away from you. You've entered into what almost feels like a war zone at this point.
Yeah, Fawn wants to just kind of duck down, kind of get against a wall, and like move forward, but very carefully. Like, this is bad place to be.
I want to see if I can run up and flank this guy that's been shot. Because these are different uniforms, correct?
Yeah, this is different. This is a black uniform. It's got like again that one of those fez hats. Okay, yeah. So you can see that he's trying to keep himself sort of blocked, but also like, as you're moving up, you can see like almost like sniper fire is like ricocheting off like the walls and some of the rubble as if it's trying to hit him, and like he is very, very much pinned down. When you get to him, you can see there's a a big, huge like a welt of blood in his stomach. What do you want to do as you slowly get up there? Like you're kind of keeping yourself down and ducking.
I want to see if there's like some sort of cover that I can drag him towards. Just like. Give him a second.
Okay. Yeah. Roll a luck test.
Hello. I failed.
Yeah. You see what looks like between you and where the rest of the party is, there are these stacks of crates, and you're trying to like drag him to that and then get back to the group. But as you do, like you see like one of the crates just splinters and explodes, and looks like old grain just starts to spill out, and then a second one comes flying down in your direction. So a second shot, I should say. But you're managed to sort of duck out of the way. You feel like it passing by, like almost like the force of the wind kind of passing by, and a few steps from you, like there's a little tink as a bullet like grazes and smashes against one of these cobblestones. You do manage at that point pull him all the way back to the alleyway with the rest of them, and you can see he's just need to cleach me. He kind of reaches out and grabs you, Vessel. Need to cleach me. Spitting blood up as he does.
What is he saying? I don't understand him.
No one does. It's like,
Okay.
need to cleach me. And he just reaches up, kind of grabs your face, leaves like a bloody smudge like on, and just dies.
And Fawn will look over at Chelsea and just say, like, I didn't catch that. I wanted to ask him if they're fighting for the king. Maybe if we can find a soldier of the king.
I don't think that staying in a war zone is a good idea. This isn't our fight, and this could only result in us getting killed.
Was he speaking Tartessian, Jeff?
No, he was.
Sound
None of
like
you
it.
understood. He just said, need to cleach me.
That sounds like German almost.
You sound like German. Derek. Actually, that sounded French. Derek.
Yeah, I wanted to see
Agent
if I can get any
Aboom.
information out of him, but gotta get out of this war zone.
As you hear the sniper fire
Shit.
come down right against you all again.
And Fawn is just gonna say we move forward. The way is through.
Yeah, Chelsea's already got the gun out that she has.
He did have this bolt action rifle too, if somebody wanted to carry that as well. That would do. Wait, let me check again. I think it's like a D12 damage rise.
Long.
Yeah, I'll take it in case any other caps will.
Yeah, it's D12. Here you go. It's available to you
Yeah. Not
now.
the person with 20 firearms.
Just says
someone.
unknown bolt action rifle. Hey Pat, what's going on?
Hello.
They are wandering through a war zone, and they have no idea how they got here or how to get out.
Or
Good times.
who's even fighting?
Yeah. I mean, there's somebody in black uniforms, and
Somebody in
there's
red.
somebody in red uniforms, and that's really all that matters, right?
We
Okay.
are in neither.
So who's leading the way?
I'll lead the way.
Okay. So everyone, you kind of get yourself ready. Do you have guns? Do you have weapons drawn? Do you have weapons out at this point?
Yes.
Is explosions? No. Okay. So Album's the only one. He's got nothing out. And then you all just bolt across this. You go over to those crates that kind of exploded. And you move over to the rubble where you found the man. Then you kind of run a little bit further, and you see what looks like a partially exploded a truck or jeep of some kind that has been turned upside down, and it's got this smoke and fire kind of rumbling up, coming, vaporing up from it. You kind of run behind it. You hear as the bullets like kind of clink against the metal. The sniper that you think is somewhere here high up continues to fire at your position, but you all manage to cross the courtyard, and you get down another one of these alleyways on the opposite side. as you have like a momentary reprieve from like getting shot at, you can still hear the gunfire everywhere, the explosions nearby. You're moving in very quietly and carefully, looking, eyes peeled. 6 men suddenly burst from a door, and they're running in this diagonal pattern away from you towards what sounds like gunfire in the distance. You can see that they're all wearing those black uniforms. They have those small red fezzes, just like the dying man that you just encountered just within the last 10 minutes or so. You think it might be minutes? I mean, that's what it feels like to you, Vessel. Some of you may be different. But you can see one of the men in this group is pushing a heavy machine gun on wheels in front of him like it's a trolley, and you can see the rest are carrying these bolt-action rifles with these fixed bayonets out in front of them. They're just kind of crossing in front of you in a kind of a diagonal in front as they're sort of moving in somewhat similar direction as you all. What do you guys want to do?
Fawn's looking for cover to not get spotted.
Okay.
By them.
Okay.
The door they busted out. Can we enter that?
Yeah. So yeah. So if you want to go and just run up towards the door, like, do you just want to get up there? Do you want to do like Fawn and be stealthy about it, or like how are you moving? Is this like a quick thing? Is this a careful thing? Is it a stealth thing?
It's just quick.
Okay. Okay. So Fawn, go ahead and roll stealth.
Oh. Fail. 63 over 49.
Okay. All right. And then Chelsea and Album, what are you two doing?
I want to try and follow Album, but be stealthy about it.
Well, Album, I don't know what Album's doing yet. Album, what are you doing?
Or I mean, Vessel. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I also want to try and just duck into a building to get out of the fire or the line of fire.
Okay. So then Chelsea, Album, go ahead and roll stealth as well. Vessel, you're the only one kind of running up quickly to try to kind of get into the door where they just kind of came flying out of. All right. Chelsea, what'd you roll? I saw Album's 80.
I rolled a 31 over 32.
Okay. So as Album, you try to just dive off into you're kind of trying to push open some of these alleyway doors or windows, just trying to find something. You're trying to be stealthy about it, but the doors are kind of jammed or barricaded from the inside, and so you kind of have to like put a little effort into it. It's making a little bit of noise. Fawn, you're doing your best to kind of sneak quietly, maybe get a closer look at like who's firing at these guys or where they're running down this street. But like it's the whole time you're moving, like you're constantly bumping into what looks like debris here and there as like gunfire happens, and you just sort of jolt from it a little bit here and there. Chelsea, you're following Vessel, who moved at a breakneck speed and was running for the door that these guys came out of, and you watch as like suddenly like there's just a crack as Vessel steps on something like what looks like a piece of wooden debris that has been blown down from a windowsill on the second floor, and the 6 guys in their black uniforms turn around and they see suddenly, at the very least, Vessel, but possibly, I'll say more than likely, Album and Fawn, and you see they, Hada! And a couple of them, like of the 6, like there's the one with the trolley that's still kind of moving, but the rest of them, you can see they start to slide off to the sides of the street now, and each of them are taking fire and setting up their guns to fire.
Like towards us?
Yes, at you. As
Okay.
they're like,
Just making
as they're all aiming at you. What do you guys do? So right now, Vessel, you're like a move action away. Like you would be able to essentially make a dodge roll to try to like dive into this room. Album, I would want from you like a strength or athletic, either a strength or athletics to try to break down one of these doors that you're trying to get open. Chelsea, none of them, it seems like, are pointing a gun at you, so you don't know if they actually see you, as you've managed to duck down behind what looks like residue from a barrel. Fawn, it does look as though 2 of these guys are pointing a gun directly at your position. One of them seems to be pointing at Album, and then another 2 seem to be pointing at Vessel. The 6th guy with the trolley machine gun, it looks like he's trying to do like a really big like turn with it, and it's being a little bit of a pain. So that's what I would want to. That's what I would want Vessel to do if you're trying to dive into that building. Album, if you want to knock the door down. Fawn, you tell me what you want to do, and Chelsea, you tell me what you want to do.
Shout them what that dying soldier was saying. It's like Igschlaw or something. I don't know what that means, but I'll shout that and just like make a dive for it.
Would you say egg salad? What?
Something like Igschlaw. I forgot what he said.
Nita Klichri.
Eat the Kirichi.
I said it like 3 times, man.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So,
I failed my strength check.
okay, as you're smashing and trying to knock it down, it's just like it has to be barricaded from the inside. Like at this point, you're confident. And you look over and you can see as like Vessel is like got his hands up. He's got one gun in his hand. He's got other, and he's just like Nita Klichli. And it sounds probably more like egg salad, but he says it, and suddenly like all of them slowly lower their guns ever so slightly, and it looks like they pause for a moment, like they're being very wary at this point. Guns are still pointed in your directions, but not necessarily directed at you. They're not looking down the sights at you. What do? They still have they still have you trained. Like Vessel, you're
Yeah,
smart
I
enough
would
to
say
realize.
Hearing that, I would say the same thing.
Okay. Well, like once the one person said it, like there was kind of like this pause by all of them. Vessel, you get the feeling like any provocative movement right now, like you have the gun in your hand and all that kind of stuff. Anything, they might be going right back to this. So what do you guys do? Swiss soldier summoning demons. I agree, Arbelin. It's exactly what it is.
So seeing what happened, then Fawn will basically repeat the same thing. So she'll kind of stay behind the cover that she's at and just say the same thing and won't do anything else.
Okay.
I'll just have
Album,
my hands up, like non-threatening.
yeah,
Okay.
same with Album. He's just going to show his hands and just, but he's not going to say anything.
Okay. Chelsea, what do you do?
Open fire.
Get the jump on him.
She's just gonna kind of wait and see what happens, but like try and plan a route of like somewhere she can get inside.
Okay. That's scary. You're trying to plan a route to get inside? What?
So like as she's in cover, she's like looking to see if there's like if the door by Vess is still open.
That's open, but it's literally a straight run, like, and like you're sitting, like they can see you. They can see because right now they have Vessel dead to rights in the middle of the street, and so if you followed him, you too would be dead to rights.
Yeah.
Okay. So they all kind of wait. There's this really, really tense, long moment. Everyone's kind of staring at each other. They're waiting for you to do kind of any movement. A couple people say "Nita Klichri," keep their hands up, and suddenly like an explosion happens up in front, like this artillery shell, and all of them just suddenly turn around, and they look over their shoulders one more time, and then they begin charging in the direction of where that explosion was. You see them like kind of empty out of this long street, kind of curve off into what it looks like a large circle, and you can hear gunfire as they're like firing and shouting as they go.
Fawn is going to breathe a very big sigh of relief very quietly.
Yeah, when they're gone, Chelsea's running.
Okay,
Let's
so you go
follow
inside.
No.
Now's our chance, fire! They turn their backs to. Okay.
I was like, Vessel's got the bomb, the one that's
Okay.
still armed.
Okay. So Chelsea, you went. So is everyone following Vessel at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. Vessel, roll a sand test.
I succeeded
Wow.
with the 2.
Okay.
That's crazy.
You guys have passed so many sand tests tonight. And Ashley's suspicion, spoiler alert, is kind of correct. It's kind of, but not. It's not what you think, but it's sort of similar. Okay, so you guys get into this room, this building, and you can see It's much like many of the other buildings you've seen. This whole one side of this 2-story home, you think it is, has been completely and utterly obliterated. But you can get out this other side. You can bypass this what looks like a circle area where there's all sorts of these different like people in those black red fez uniforms are firing at others that are in their red uniforms, and then you can see there's all these other groups of people here and there, some of which are actually in uniforms that don't match either of them. Fawn, like you look and you're like, that looks like a German uniform, and then you're like, that looks like Soviet, Russian, what? And like it, and there's just this huge array of maybe 2 dozen, 3 dozen people all firing at each other in the middle of that large circle that you saw. Those that were wheeling that large machine gun, the guy who had the trolley, but you guys managed to sneak out the back of this blown building and start moving down a side street. There's still occasional explosions here and there. You don't think the gunshots are actually aiming for you right now, but you can still hear them. It's a constant cacophony of bullets firing left and right. You manage to get sort of a little bit further away down a hill. You've been moving in a parallel direction. You look up and you realize you have moved closer. You're not sure when it happened. Everything's been crazy for the past hour, half an hour, day, but you're closer now. Like the palace looks bigger. It's looming over you even more now. You can actually even see more detail begin to crystallize in it. You can see windows and such start to appear. Like there's little dots on the distance that you didn't see before. You've somehow progressed deeper into the city. It's then as you turn and you start moving down another hill, you start, it's quiet for a moment, but then you hear this strange sound which grows in intensity, like water lapping on stone, and it's from all around you. You just kind of hear it, and you look around. You don't see any signs of a pier, you don't see any signs of a lake, you don't see any signs of a fountain. But a second later, as you're almost to the end of this descending hill, you see what looks like a horde of these skeletal, like skin stretched over top of them, figures and rags, like almost like prisoners of war that you've probably seen in picture books and documentaries, just begin tumbling over each other and just flowing up, and that's where the sounds come coming from. You thought it was the sounds of water, but it was just them, and they are just moving in this strange kind of half confusion, half rage. And first there's 5, then there's 10, then there's 20 as they just start to move in your direction. You look behind you and you hear a massive explosion as an artillery shell just erupts at the top of the hill that you just came down, sending a spray of brick and cobblestone and wood in all sorts of directions. What do you guys do as this horde is just moving towards you, almost zombie-like in its demeanor?
Fawn's looking for a building to dive into out of the way of them.
Roll a luck test.
Okay. Critical failure 77.
Actually, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It's not a luck test. My bad. One sec. Okay. You're lucky. You're lucky I actually called for the wrong roll. Okay. You look around desperate, and you can see off to your right, like you have to move forward ever so slightly and get a little bit close to them, but if you can move fast enough, off to your right you can see that there's an arched doorway with a big heavy door. It almost looks like a church entering, but you don't see any signs of like a cross or a Star of David or any recognizable like religious imagery that you would be familiar with, but it has this kind of holy feel to it. But it's this heavy lacquer stained door, so you make a run for it. What do the rest of you do?
Yeah, I'm just gonna follow and try and get out of the way of this like sea of people rushing us.
Yeah, I don't want to get stampeded, kind of.
Okay.
Let's see if I could stand there and have them like flow around me like a rock in a river.
Okay. Chelsea, Album, you follow Fawn. Vessel, you You stay there in the middle of the street as this horde of starving skeletal prisoners in rags just flow up. And as they get closer and they start to pour around you, you see their faces are ones of intense insanity, like contorted in ways that just make no sense. Eyes wild and far off. And they all begin to grab and tear at you. And they're shouting at you in some kind of unknown language.
Oh, Vessel.
You're going to take, we'll say, let's see how many you get attacked by at once. You're going to get attacked by 4 of these. 35% to hit.
Saul. Wait, what was that?
4 of them are attacking. So I rolled 4 D100s. 2 of them hit, one with a 19 and one with a 30. And so let me roll their damage.
Can I like counterattack this at all?
Yeah, you can if you want to do your, what's it called? The unarmed combat. Yeah, you do you can do the fight back thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do it. Success.
Okay. Do you want to fight back? Because you succeeded and you were much higher than them, so you beat them in the contest, and that's going to be your roll for all of them. And a 72 will beat a 30, and a 72 will beat a 19. So you're easily able to kind of shove them, push them away. So you can always take that extra action, since this is your since you're doing kind of the melee combat thing here. But you have the ability to do that. You can attack back if you wanted. You can. Give me one sec. So this is that's a defense roll, and so you can do that kind of the rider, right? That's what it is.
The rider? What do you mean?
Meaning there's in addition to you just sort of blocking the attack, you can attack, you can fight back if you wanted, or you can just sit there and just kind of block and push, whatever it might be.
Just shove them off me to get through this sword.
Okay. Do you want to try to? So you're trying to kind of push and move and all that kind of thing. Okay. All right, so you managed to knock 4 of them down as they kind of stumble around, and that takes out a few of the others. But they kind of look up, and they're all kind of getting up. And every time that you get close and you're taking a few steps here, trying to move yourself down the hill, more of them reach out and grab you. What are the 3 of you inside? You're right inside. They didn't follow you. You're right by the door. You can close this. You can barricade it, but you can see that there's Vessel being swarmed by these things.
Do we try and shoot at some of them to get them off of him, or do we think that will draw too much attention on us?
I don't think we can just leave him out there. There's thousands and thousands of them.
There's not thousands and thousands. There's that's crazy. It's just not thousands and thousands. There's like a dozen or 2.
So what's inside this building here? So is there anything that resembles something shield-like that could be a movable, liftable, flat surface?
A movable, liftable, flat surface. Yeah, over by what looks like inside the foyer, there is some kind of large, metallic, decorative plate of some kind, almost like a serving, it's like a serving platter, but it doesn't look like it's been used. You can see there's been some attention, some artistry done to sort of doing an engraving. It sort of matches the aesthetic within this area, the same kind of signs here and there, these geometric shapes. It's probably about 3 feet across in diameter. It's kind of a little reflective surface to it, but yeah, you can easily grab this. It's a shield. It's not the greatest. It's a big old metal dinner plate.
Yeah. Fawn wants to, basically just sort of hold that, and try to see if she can, kind of get out to get him and kind of bring him back.
He does not look to have any interest, by the way, in coming towards you. He's just pushing himself through and down the hill through this mob.
So then Fawn will kind of just take that and look to Chelsea and Album and just say, do we wait, or should we try to use this? And
it's not very big. It's a serving platter. So just, I want you to adjust your expectations for what that's going to be able to do.
Yeah.
It's
but
not
if we
it's not Captain America's shield, okay?
if we were able to just like run along, would we be able to get around to them?
No, they pretty much take up the whole street here and
The
there.
whole
You
street.
likely if you went out into the street, you draw their attention. You'd probably draw one or two of them over towards you. You
Okay.
could you feel like if you just close the door and wait a few minutes, you'd probably be okay.
Yeah, that's probably what Chelsea would suggest.
Okay. Album.
I don't want to let Vessel just die potentially, even though it doesn't seem to matter. But I also don't want to die again.
The problem
what
is
does
if
that-
we just
what does that
wait
mean
a
you
couple
do?
minutes. I mean, that could
Also,
be
he's
like
got
hours
a
for him.
he's got a literal bomb on him. Still,
That is true. That's Chelsea's thought is like if
He
he's
could try to
really
save
in
himself.
trouble, he could blow these people up.
yeah. Album's gonna be like, I guess he got explosives and he knows how to use them, so he
Okay.
will probably be okay. He'll
All right.
side with Chelsea.
So you guys close the door.
Oh fuck, that sounds awful. Yeah.
Okay. You close the door. All right.
Close the door.
You push your way through Vessel down the hill, and this time, whoops. Let's see how many of them swipe out at you this round. Only one of them manages to get close enough to kind of take a good swipe at you, 35%, and like you can feel them like raking these bony fingers down like your neck a little bit. They kind of do a light scratch, but you very easily can kind of shove their arm like off of you. What do you want to do, Vessel?
Are they like stopping to chase after me, or are they just going past?
The minute you knock them down, they look like they struggle to get back up. Like these are sapped of strength. They look confused and like as they're rolling around the ground, they kind of look up, kind of in the lost. And a few of them, as you push past them and kind of knock them down behind you, like the ones, some of them that get up, they get up and they just continue moving on. Others reach back for you. You feel like if you just put enough distance down the hill away from, they're probably you'll easily outpace them.
Yeah, I'll just keep rolling through.
Okay.
Shove anything that catches me.
Yeah. So what we'll say is, if you want, make a dodge roll. And if you're not attacking them, just a dodge roll. And if you do really well, we'll say you move even further. Okay. Yeah. So we'll say like, I don't want to keep having to have them swarm over you because they don't even do that much damage. They do 1d4 minus 3. But more than once, like you manage to shove and push them off you, and they're swiping. You have shown no, you don't seem like you want to kill them or anything like that. So you just manage to constantly like kind of push them off you, knock them down, push them off you, knock them down. And eventually you get down to the base of the hill. You look back. Those that you've knocked down have found their way back to their feet and are beginning to sort of not dust themselves off. They look and they some of them stare at you and they think for a moment. And then they kind of turn around and they start moving back up the street at this point. Chelsea, Album, and Fawn, the three of you can roll alertness rolls.
Failed.
I succeeded.
Crit success.
Okay. Chelsea, you managed to find a, we'll say actually with a 47. So Album, you managed to find a window and kind of look out and see that there's what looks like all of them start to move and up and away. It looks like Vessel has managed to find himself a little bit further upwards. Chelsea, you, as you're looking around to kind of get a vantage point, you do find what looks kind of like another way out. So you, as you're kind of working your way through the pews of this would-be church, you do find like a back door that sort of weaves back into a small little chamber. And you can see that the chamber is just affixed with what looks like books galore. There's just books and books and books. And then you see a little door, kind of a small, not as big as the front door, this large, heavy door. This is just a small kind of side door leading out of the building.
Shall I call that out to Fawn and Album? That she found this door, but she's gonna like peek at the books first.
Okay. What are you looking for?
Um, just a title that like draws my eye, whether it's something about Tartessian history or the king. Those would be probably like the two things that she'd be skimming for.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of stuff up here. Most of it is like these leather-bound books, like these sort of antique, like what would be antique, for you all. You do notice that there is one book that actually stands out to you, and the only reason it stands out is because it was just mentioned yesterday, day before. You're not exactly sure when, but you find what looks like A World Without Doors.
Oh, so since it was mentioned, she'll snag that and pop that in her purse. And then she'll go to the door at the courtyard because she wants to look out and see if she can see Vessel.
Yeah, and you do. You can see Vessel, and it looks like that horde of ragtag prisoner people. Ragtag's not the right word. Prisoners in rags. That makes more sense. You can see that they've evacuated the street.
Yeah, she'll call out to Vessel.
Did you find a map or anything that we could use?
No, but I found the book you were looking for. I mean, you're more than welcome to check for a map, but...
Album will go back and look for a map to see if there's any sort of thing that can help us get to the palace faster.
Okay. Sure. So you go inside and you kind of look around, going through the doors themselves, or going through all the various books as best you can. You're looking for anything that might be a map, anything that might help you. You kind of have the same issue with Chelsea. Like, all these books look identical from the outside. They all have the same kind of brown, leather-bound look to them. And so you really kind of focus on the things that sort of look different. And every time you open them, for you, Album, it's a script you don't even understand the language. But you do notice that there is, like, right on the shelf, there's this thin hardcover book. And when you pull it out, you realize it's a children's book. It's Maud Goes to the Masked Ball.
Album will call.
It's a kid's book, so it would take minutes to go through.
Yeah. So Album would call out and say, I can't read any of these books, but there's a children's book mixed among these, which seems weird. The rest of these look like dusty old tomes. Oh.
Yeah, because you can read the title, Maud Goes to the Masked Ball. Like, you can. That's the only one you can even read.
Yeah, Album will call that out and say, what the hell is Maud Goes to the Masked Ball?
Well, I don't know, but we're trying to get to a masquerade, so what does Maud do?
Album will crack the book open.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't take very long. You flip through it. It's sparsely told, but you can see that there's lots of these lavish color plates. So it seems to revolve around the story of a young girl named Maud who becomes lost in an unnamed city. She enters in which is referred to as an ironworks, where she meets an old man named Ambrose. He fashions her a clockwork mask that moves and smiles, and in the illustrations, never mind that part. Then, in exchange for, quote, giving her voice to a character named Mr. Wilde, a man who secretly pulls the strings behind the royals of the city, Maud gets an invitation to the masquerade. At the ball, she's pursued by a strange prince in gold wearing a white mask. And the last page is a color plate where the prince has removed his mask, but the top half of the color plate has been ripped off, and the revealed face in the actual children's book can't be seen. But Maud's face can be seen, and she looks shocked. So apparently, as you're that's the story, and you can see that the book was published in 1925 by Finkelstein Books, and that's the story of Maud Goes to the Ball.
Go ahead.
So if Album like summarizes it for us or whatever.
Oh yeah, he read that out loud like it's story time for everyone.
Chelsea is.
Pulls the book up, moves it side to side.
And on this page, the prince's face is not shown. Yeah, I definitely want to find Ambrose. Like that has moved. It was a priority for Chelsea, and now it's definitely up there.
Okay, so do you guys go back out in the street to find Vessel at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you get back on the street. Vessel, you manage to find your way down the hill, kind of curved around a bend in the road. So basically, like, you meet up with them in like a side street where they leave through this smaller door that you found in like the chambers in the back of that church area. And it's then that all of you see a little bit further down the street, and then kind of this sort of opened, looks like a kind of a blown out skeleton of a building where the kind of rafters are still kind of cutting across, but they haven't fully fallen. You guys notice that there's 6 what looks like young soldiers that are in unmarked gray-green uniforms, and they are apparently dragging down the street 2 teenage boys. You could tell like they're probably 14, 15, 16 years old maybe. And both of them have their hands bound behind their backs. All the soldiers appear to be armed with pistols, light machine guns here and there. And the soldiers, you can tell from this distance, like, they seem fairly distracted and scared maybe. You can see they're constantly like shifting and looking around. But they also look like exhausted. As you're watching them, there's like this blue-eyed, blonde-haired leader like of the soldiers who's sort of telling people what to do. You can see he pulls out this rope and he starts fashioning a noose, and he throws the rope over what looks like one of those rafters, like those the skeletal rafter of one of these blown out buildings. And you can see he's like kind of getting the noose ready, kind of pulling it, and looks like he's about to put it over one of the teenage boys. What do you guys want to do?
And so there's 6 soldiers.
Yeah, one of them is fixing the noose. The others are kind of like, a couple of them are holding the other boy. Both like there's like kind of 2 sets, like that are holding like the 2 that are holding either side of each boy, and while like the blonde guy, and there's another one who's just sort of like scouting around, like the 6th is sort of scouting. Any of you speak German, by the way? Anyone know the language German?
No, but I was wondering if Album recognizes those as like German uniforms. I would imagine he at least knows the word no in German because it's such an easy 9.
Yeah, roll history plus 20. So if you don't have history, you can roll 20%.
I added success. I added the 20 already.
Yeah, you're pretty sure. And then if that's not enough, you hear the voice of the leader. Okay, it's been a while, guys. It's been a while since my German, so bear with me. But you hear him shout, "Wegen Verbrechen gegen das Großreich sind sie zum Tode verurteilt werden." And he says it much more dramatically, and I probably have all of the grammar wrong. But you can see that he sort of slowly starts to tighten the noose, and then like 2 of the others just begin to pull on the rope at this point, slowly pulling the kid up. And so they see the kids beginning to get pulled up, legs kind of kicking.
Yeah, that would be, so when they start pulling the kids up, that would be when Album shouts no in German to all of the soldiers.
And it's at that point that they turn and they see you. Okay. What are the rest of you doing? Thank you, Arberlin.
Fawn's gonna go out, gun pulled, and echo Album 9.
Okay.
This is probably a bad idea, but
Vessel and Chelsea, what are you 2 doing?
Questioning their choices.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are we shooting the 2
goodness.
who are pulling the kid up?
I didn't have a gun out. I just yelled no.
are they armed? They've got to be armed.
All the soldiers are, yeah. They have looks like rifles and pistols.
I'll just be in the shadows for now. I'll stealth it up, see what happens.
Okay. Chelsea, what are you doing?
She's gonna take a shot at one of the people who are pulling the kid up the noose.
Oh, okay. You're just gonna shoot. So
I just don't know. Y'all
Fawn
are
and-
pulling guns out.
What
I'm just
the-
like, let's say if they stop.
so Album, you're saying 9. You're just shouting out at them. Fawn, did you say you had a gun out?
Yes, I also shouted 9. But
And you said
added
it with a
to the
gun.
max. Yes.
Vessel, the best combatant, excuse me, in this entire group. You're in the shadows doing nothing. Vessel, go ahead and roll stealth. And then
Oh,
Chelsea.
he's stealthing?
Well, he
Yeah.
like,
That's yeah.
He stealthed.
you declared what you did. So Chelsea, go ahead and I'll let you get a shot off.
Yeah, I'm like in the building through a window. I would like to take a
No, you're not in a building. You're in the
Oh,
street.
we're not in the building?
No, you're not in
Never
a
mind
building.
then.
You went down the street.
Still shooting.
Okay. Okay.
Kids,
Oh goodness.
she ain't gonna put up with that.
So while their attention is all turned to Album and Fawn, while they're saying 9, you're shooting at one of the two that are pulling on the rope.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Okay. 15. That's a hit. Roll damage on your weapon.
1d8.
Nice shot.
Max damage.
Yay! As it was called, so it shall be rolled.
Okay.
That's not normally how it goes for us.
I know.
Oh,
Okay.
We're so dead now.
You fire in the direction of one of these guys that are pulling up, and you manage, like, you go right at the head, like the bullet. You can see it just, they've got their usual helms on, right? Those kind of little cap helms, and it gets right and knocks the helmet clear off, and you can see as this huge gash just erupts and a burst of red blows out from behind the ear, and they go stumbling backwards, almost as if they're falling to the ground. Like, it wasn't a direct hit, like, but you almost took them out. And what I'm saying is you almost took them out in one shot, but not quite. But he lets go, and the other one just begins to struggle, like, was is lost, was. And,
Was ist das?
Was ist los? Or something. I don't know. It's been a while. All right. So now we're in proper initiative now. Okay. So they're at 11. Who's above 11 in terms of dex?
Oh,
One is.
Fawn, what are you at?
I think it's 14. Yeah, 14.
14 for Fawn. Okay.
I have a 13.
And then Vessel and I have 10.
Okay. All right. So Fawn, you hear the gunshot go off. You see the guy get flown backwards off of, like off of where he was pulling the rope down. Head kind of bursting with blood. You can see he's still moving, but he has been pretty terribly wounded. You're not sure if he's completely out of the fight, but there's still 5 others. Fawn, what do you do?
I'm gonna go after the same guy that Chelsea did.
Okay.
Shooting, I'm real bad at that, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Failed.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I failed.
You fire, it misses. You take a couple steps here or there, but you're in the middle of the street, basically, firing at this guy. Album, you're up. Oh,
All right. So how much time has passed between the gunshots those two had? Like seconds, right?
Seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Album's gonna
combat
look.
initiative.
He's gonna look over his shoulder at both of them, like,
What are you doing?
because he has no gun out. And then, all right, paint a picture for me. So we just came out of a building and we're in an alleyway, right?
You're walking down a street. You're walking down a normal street. Buildings
okay,
right
so-
and left. Everywhere you're going, alleyways, like a lot of these alleyways are blocked by rubble or barricades or broken down intentionally or otherwise, like vehicles and stuff. So a lot of times, like, you only have like 1 or 2 choices. You guys are down a decent width street. There's on one side, let's call it the right side of the street, there is just a completely ruined building, but the rafters, like a skeleton of the building, are still remaining. And they're in the rubble of that building using one of the rafters to loop the noose, the rope around for the noose. And so they're like in that lot. You guys are out in the street. We'll put you guys at like, 20 meters, 20 meters away, so like 50, 60 feet away.
Would I be able to take a single stick of dynamite from Fawn and throw it at the soldiers that are furthest from the kids?
Okay. Yes, because that's awesome. And you are right next to each other. So you were right next to each other. So you can reach over and grab, like, from, because I imagine, Fawn, you have like a pack probably.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's fair to say all of you have like a basic pack that you guys carry around with you, and that probably came
Yes,
with you.
my
So
fanny
the
pack,
throttle
yeah.
pin, etc. Okay. Let's see if you can. I'm just checking one thing really quick. Because you're reaching into her pack and trying to grab a stick of dynamite. Phew. Okay. Roll Dex times 5 to see if you can grab the stick of dynamite deftly enough to be able to throw it on this turn.
Oh God.
What, you and explosives? You and explosives.
My hand
I'm gonna
ignites the
blow up
dynamite
my
and we all
bag on
blow
my
up.
back.
Oh my god.
That's the worst one too. It's a literal 100.
So you pull out the dynamite, and what happens? So as you pull it out, like, you grab it, but you butterfinger it. It's not going to explode. That's way too mean. But you butterfinger it, and it falls down on the ground. And since there's a little bit of a slope, it rolls a few feet away from you, and you're not going to be able to get onto it this turn. But you can take a few steps towards it. But that'll be your turn. Like, that basically takes up your turn scrambling to pick it up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I like to think that he's like, really? Like, why are we shooting? Fine. And then he's like, son of a bitch, and drops it. Yeah.
I wanted to do like Lost, like when like Doc Arch just like blew up when he was messing around with it. Oh, it was so funny. But no, killing 2 characters like just like that. You can't come back from explosions. Okay, so that was Album, and now it's their turn. I'm going to say the one that got shot in the head is stunned for this round. The one that's there's going to be one that is holding the rope, can't really do anything, so he's just going to continue to hold the rope on the boy that is being strangled. So those 2 are taken care of. The leader will turn and will fire a pistol at Chelsea, since Chelsea's the one who actually landed a hit and looks like she knows what she's doing. All right, so I need a 40 on this. So I'll roll this publicly so you can see it. Right on the dot. Look at that.
Okay.
So that's going to be a D8. 2 points of damage, Chelsea, as you take a shot in the thigh. As he kind of quickly turns back, fires, and kind of catches you in the leg. There's 2 that have the other kid. Like, they're holding them. I'm going to say one of them lets go, which allows him to act, essentially, and the other will be the one that's just like, so there's going to be basically a third that's out of the fight as he's trying to continue to hold the one other teenage boy. So the other one, so that guy will go ahead and take a shot. I will roll this one. This one will be at Fawn, I think, though, just to be fair and keep it kind of spread out. So this one, same thing. This will be a 40 to hit with a pistol. That's a crit with a natural 1.
I see that.
Okay, so we're just going to do double damage. D8 times 2. I'm just going to roll 2 D8s, right?
Oh, shit.
It's a D8 for pistol damage for this pistol, so I'm going to roll 2 D8s. 9 points of damage.
Okay.
Takes you basically right in your torso, right, and you feel it in your ribs. The one that was alerted, so the one that was like, there was one that wasn't responsible for the ropes, wasn't responsible for anything. He has his rifle out, and I think he'll shoot at Chelsea since she's the first one who did it. This one's going to be a 40 to hit as well, 40% or lower. 51, he'll miss, which is a good thing because that's a much bigger damage.
Yeah.
And that's the turn. And it'll come down now to Vessel and Chelsea both at 10.
You doing anything or no?
You have to join the firefights. Still, I'll peek from cover with my rifle and shoot back at the rifle guy.
Okay, at the rifle guy? Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh,
You guys have no
Expected.
rerolls to work with. This, and you guys pick up. Oh, you're outnumbered.
Chelsea likes to protect innocence, and she can't let that go. So
That's fair. Okay, Chelsea, your turn.
I'm also gonna shoot at the rifle guy.
Okay.
Crit success.
Yay!
Roll your damage twice, we'll say. Or roll it and double it. I don't remember which.
Oops. 8.
Same either way.
So I don't know what it is about Chelsea, but this is the second time she gets shot in the leg. Gun goes right up. She fires, and again, like headshot. And you can see the helmet just explode off as this small squirt of red just explodes, and as this guy's temple just collapses on himself, and he just crumples to the ground. So there's now two guys that are kind of rolling around, having just gotten shot in the head, somehow survived. And so they're going to be stunned. I'm going to give them basically con rolls on their next turns to see if they can recover an act. And that is the end of Chelsea's turn. Back up to Fawn.
Okay, so we've got. I'm gonna shoot at the one that I shot at last time. He was the very first one that took damage.
Okay.
You do still have bombs or dynamite.
I do want to point out, like, the one that you're shooting at is sort of like rolling around, sort of stunned from like taking 8 points of damage, and one's shellacking from Chelsea. So like you're probably smart enough to realize that one is not the biggest concern at the moment. So like the guy had the rifle, the guy who's got one of the guys who was like hanging the teenage boy, both of them are like rolling around now on the ground, their heads nearly getting shot off. You've got the leader who's got the blonde hair, blue eyes, no helm, who's pointing in your directions. You've got one of the other guys that was holding the teenage boy that's not being hung. He's free as well. And then you've got one of them that's still like hanging the original boy, and then the other one is like kind of keeping the second boy pinned. So there's still two up that.
Okay, I'll go for the leader then, because he's not busy doing anything and he hasn't been shot yet.
Okay.
So.
I'm gonna say he has no helm either.
Very good at shooting, but I'm gonna try. Critical failure.
Okay.
No.
You just unload the clip to the point where like you just fired, like you clean up the entire strip, and you don't hit him at all. Like you don't hit anything. You just you see little spurts of dust in the ground. You see plaster falling from the wall behind him here and there, but you miss every single shot. But you will need to expend your turn, your action on your next turn, reloading. So that's the critical fail effect here.
And can I do any kind of movement at the end of that?
You can always move a couple feet. Remember, like in combat, like you have one action on your turn, but baked into the idea of shooting is the notion that you can move a couple feet here and there. Okay. So in terms of like finding cover, like that's a little different. Like if you want to, like that's if like you can always dodge, like in the sense of possibly diving for cover and things like that. But yeah, you kind of.
I kind of want to just fall prone if I can, just to be a harder target to hit.
Okay.
If that works like that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Album, you're up. You've got you kind of take the couple steps. You get the dynamite in your hand. What do you want to do?
Yeah, again, he'll try and throw it to just either discombobulate or take out the soldiers that are furthest from the kids, but he does not want to hurt the kids. So I'm assuming it'd be another dex throw or check.
So you're doing like a thrown attack here. So there's a couple things with throws. I actually do have the rules sort of on this. So this is a heavy weapons when you're throwing explosives like this, in a way. Anything with a kill. So this has a kill radius. And it's going to be basically like a lethality check. So you don't actually have to so you get like a plus 20 because you don't actually have to hit a person. You just have to kind of hit an area.
Yeah.
So heavy weapons plus 20.
So heavy weapons is grayed out for me. So does that mean I can't even throw the dynamite? Because
no, it's a 20%. So you're trying to throw it like this is just to get it into that perfect position, like where it's going to hit the two of them and nobody else, you know, or the largest group of them without hurting the kids. That's what the 20%'s for.
As the Zoomers say, yeet. I failed.
Okay, so you throw this, you light it, and you throw the dynamite in, and you're trying to throw it in such a way that it doesn't actually hit, you know, won't encompass. You're not even sure exactly how big the radius of this explosion is going to be for this dynamite. It's old dynamite, who the hell knows? And so you throw it in there, hoping that it's not going to hit any of them. Roll a luck test, Album.
5.
Okay, so this is going to end up hitting this is going to end up hitting half of them, but it's also going to be end up hitting the one of the boys as well. So all 3 of them are going to be caught in the blast of this, but the other 3 won't. So this is going to be a lethality roll. So roll 3 D100s.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, 4, since I said 3 of them and then one of the boys. We'll say the last
219. You want me to say what they
79,
equal out to? There we go.
47, 47.
Okay.
Those are really 340s.
So this is a lethality test. And so it's a lethality 10%. If you were to roll 10 or under, it's an auto kill. If you don't get the auto kill, you add the numbers on the dice together. So to the leader, you did 16 points of damage.
Oh no.
Which kills him.
Oh, no.
To one of we'll say to the one that had been holding the other boy but let go, you do 10 points of damage, which kills him. We'll say to one of the dudes that's rolling around the ground having gotten shot, you did 11 points of damage, which kills him. But to the boy that was hanging, you do 11 points of damage and you also kill him.
Oh. Okay.
Roll a sand test.
Yeah. I failed.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah,
Are you adapted to
covered.
violence?
Unfortunately, yeah.
And that's good in this case. You only take 1 point of sand damage then.
Just imagine it's
The
like one of those
Proudstone
scenes.
Palmer strikes again.
That's so insensitive. I'm offended.
Okay, so let's just recap then. So
No,
the people
album's just got that like high pitched ear ringing like you see in a war movie, the tinnitus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the ones that are alive, there's one that was rolling that's stunned. The one that was holding the boy, is alive. That boy that it was holding on the ground is alive. And then the other one that had the rope, he flies back like someone let go of a tug of war, and he goes tumbling. I'm gonna say he's gonna be stunned for this round. So those are the 4 that are still alive. The other 4 are blown to bits. Parts of the roof and the rafters have begun to fall. The 3 of you, by the way, can also roll sand for this, because that was an innocent who just died. So you can all 3 of you can do that as well.
Failure.
Success.
Fawn, take 1.
Player.
Okay, but you're adapted though, right?
Violence? No.
I'm not.
Okay. All right. I don't know the numbers, so let's see. Oh God. Chelsea, take 8 sanity damage. And Vessel, take 2 sanity damage. Yeah.
Oh my
It's for the
God.
boy. It's for the boy being exploded.
8's got to do something to you.
Yeah, I have 3 sand.
And
You
that.
feeling okay? You feeling
Holy
Uh,
shit.
okay?
I mean, it
okay.
makes sense because Chelsea was desperately trying to protect that boy.
Well done, album. It's now their turn.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna do some contests here. So I need 45s for them to be able to shake off their stun. That doesn't look good. Okay, one of them shakes off their stun. The guy that you originally shot, the start of the saw off, he is finally kind of regaining his composure and standing up. The other one is still rolling around. I'm going to say the one that was holding the teenage boy that pin has they both like kind of flew to the ground, and that pin is now over, and he's gonna look around. I'm gonna give him an alertness test to see if he, amongst the rubble and everything kind of falling now, if he can pinpoint someone to target and shoot. An 87, you can see he's just firing wildly into the street as there's like all sorts of debris and dust and dirt that are flying, and there's just gunfire that's just sort of flying out in the middle of nowhere. And then it'll come around to, and then there's a teenage boy who you guys see just bursts out from the cloud of smoke and soot and dust out into the middle of the road, running kind of at you guys, but also seems terrified. Vessel, it's your turn.
I gotta finish what they started, so I'll shoot out any survivors.
Yeah, looks like there's 3 of them still alive, and then there's this teenage boy. I mean, all right, go ahead.
I'll just shoot at the one that shot.
Okay. Jesus.
Oh, he's 7 as well. Copied him.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Missing left and right. Chelsea, you're up.
So, yeah, I'm gonna shoot at the guy.
Okay. Shooting at the teenage boy. Got it. Go ahead.
No, not the teenage boy.
Okay.
Success with a 2.
Oh.
Okay. Go ahead and roll damage.
We should have just left this fight to Chelsea. I'm over here killing.
She's crushing
children,
it.
But she's actually
3
killing the bad
damage.
guys.
But
That
that guy
will-
only had 2 health, right?
Exactly. That will finish. No, he had 3 health, and that 3
Oh, 3.
that 3 will do it. That's why if he would have gotten down to 2, he would have just been unconscious. That's what I was
Yeah.
kind of trying to suggest, because they have 1 point of armor. Okay, so there's now only 2 that are left alive that you can tell, and it goes over to Fawn's turn now. You see the little boy running, the teenage boy running. You see 2 of them. 2 of them left amongst the
Wait.
rubble.
I should have a breakdown, right?
Yeah,
No, you're
8
okay.
in 1 shot.
Oh,
Nope.
okay.
You're okay. You're just suppressing fire.
Don't I have
Okay.
to spend this turn reloading?
Yes, you do. Thank you for remembering that. Album, it's your turn. Another dynamite? Trick the kid as he's running?
I mean, did Album see that he killed one of the kids?
Yeah, that's why I had you roll the sand test.
Yeah, I feel like he would probably just like do the whole 1,000 yards thing and kind of just like aimlessly wander straight toward the explosion that he just created.
Okay.
So he's
you're-
not going to do anything. He's just kind of like
Okay.
in a daze.
Okay. I'm going to roll con for this guy. I need a 45. Okay, so the other one that was stunned, he is now broken that. Teenage boy has gotten away. Dear God. I think one of them...
There's
I think what
2
I'm going
up,
to do...
right?
Yeah, there's 2 up. I think what I'm going to do... I mean, there's a massive explosion. There's dead bodies everywhere. I'm
Their
going to roll...
commander's dead.
Their commander's dead. I'm going to roll to see whether they stay in the fight. Yeah. Let's do... Oof. Let's do a power test, I guess. Something like that, maybe. I think it's power. I can't remember. Could be int. I'm going to do power. All right. So basically, it's a 50-50. Oh my God, they both stay in the fight.
God damn it.
Jeez.
1 with a natural 1. Okay, one's gonna fire at the one who, like, there's been one person who's been consistently doing damage. It's Chelsea with a pistol. They're gonna shoot in your direction. 40% at Chelsea. Oh boy, that's a hit. You can try and dodge for cover if you want, Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
As there is rubble in pretty much everywhere at this point. So you can go ahead and roll dodge to try to get behind cover and like basically go prone in the way and like dive behind something. You are rolling ridiculously well.
Wow.
However, is it contested? Does it just have
I
to be a
don't know.
success? Man, we never do combat.
We don't.
Opposed test pits your agent's dodge test against the attack roll.
Yeah, so I say if your agent is near enough to move to cover and knows gunfire or an explosion is imminent, you can make a dodge roll for the agent to get behind that cover. If there's no cover, dodging does no good. No, I mean, you know fighting's here and there's rubble everywhere, so I think you can dive to the ground and get some cover with your 6. It doesn't have to be... What did you say, Melissa? I'm sorry.
The little combat action note sheet says, this opposed test pits your agent's dodge skill against the attack roll. If your roll overcomes the attack roll, your agent avoids harm.
Yeah, they're higher than you, so they did succeed with the 26, so they are going to hit. So this is going to be D8. 4 points of damage, Chelsea, as you dive to the ground, but you still get hit as you do.
All right.
The other one I think is going to move out into the kind of see where the other gunfire is coming from, and then even though he's been missing, it's been Vessel. So he's going to fire over at Vessel. Vessel, you have been firing what seems like from some kind of covered position because you stealthed into a hiding place. So I'm going to give him a -10 on this. So he's going to need a 30% for this shot. That's a crit fail. And so he just fires wildly, and he does the same thing like Vaughn does and empties his clip. And so he's going to have to spend his next turn loading up his gun. All right, comes around to Vessel. You just got shot at. They know where you're at.
I know where he is, so I'll shoot back.
Oh, has that been the problem? Is that why you've been missing?
Yeah. There we
Hey!
There
you
we
go. There you go,
go.
buddy.
7 damage.
That's really good damage. Not good enough. Actually, I think that's got a plus. That's 1d12 plus 2. Hang on. Let me double check.
That's 3 armor piercing, if that matters.
Yeah, it would actually, because it's got 1 armor. You pierce one of it. It still only does 7 damage though. I think that only does. Yeah, so it does 7 damage. It doesn't take him out, but it does manage to. You hit him square in the chest. He goes flying back, slams against the wall, and you see him trying to kind of take cover and sort of I don't know. We'll say, were you shooting at the one that was reloading, or were you shooting at the one that's shooting at Chelsea?
Oh,
The one shooting at you? Okay. So the guy's like trying to reload now with a bullet wound in his chest. Chelsea, your turn. You just dove behind cover. That is your turn though, I think, right? Like it is your action. So you dove. Okay. Fawn, you have your weapon loaded. You're prone on the ground. What do you want to do?
I would like to pop up, try shooting again. At
Okay.
the one that Vessel just shot at.
Okay, go ahead.
Failed me.
You miss. Okay. Album, your turn. You've wandered up into what looks like an absolute bloodbath as there's body parts everywhere from where this dynamite exploded.
Okay, so if I'm where the blast happens, you know that scene from Saving Private Ryan, I think, where he's like, that guy picks up his arm very nonchalantly.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna like look for the kid in the bits pile.
You find him. He's there. You see more slender arms. I don't want to get too graphic with it, but yeah, you see the body much more slender, not as much muscle, etc. No German uniform. You see the bits, mostly intact still, but you can tell he's taken just awful, atrocious, explosive damage.
Yeah, Album's going to collapse onto the ground holding the body and just kind of like rocking back and forth, and that's what he'll do.
All right. I love it. The one has to reload, so he does. The other is going to continue firing at Chelsea, but Chelsea, you are now behind cover, so I'm going to give, again, the minus. So we're going to make this, he needs a 30% to hit you. Jesus Christ, with the crit success. I think you are. I think you are. All right.
No.
14 points of damage.
Oh my gosh.
As you guys watch as he just at what looks like, it's just a bunch of like crates and debris, and he's just firing and blasting into it, and a lot of the bullets are getting caught, but some of them are getting through. And you look over and you see like you see Chelsea. She's sort of like reloading her weapon. She's reloading her gun, and as she does, you see her just sort of move, and she kind of starts to drift off. Her eyes kind of drooping down a bit. Vessel, your turn.
I'll shoot back at the guy that shot Chelsea.
Okay. Roll your
Got a
damage.
50. It's only 3 though.
Yeah, it all goes through. Okay. Fawn, what do you do?
Shooting is doing no good because I have a 20. So, am I in a position that I can try to just bull rush this guy and try to do like an unarmed combat?
I think you can bull rush the one that's shooting that was shooting Chelsea. Yeah, you can. He's close enough. The one that's reloading in the rubble, I would say no. He's too far away.
Okay. All right. Fail.
Oh my goodness. Album, do you still just kind of have your moment here, or do you do anything? You can see a couple feet from you, like the guy is like, he's bleeding, and he's looking up at you, and he's looking out in the street, eyes wide with sort of terror and anger, and he's like loading his weapon while he's doing so. And you've got
This is the
like,
guy that shot Chelsea, right?
No, this is the one that was shooting at Vessel, and Vessel shot him, and he kind of fell back. The other guy, that's
Gotcha.
kind of out of the rubble that now Fawn has enclosed upon.
Yeah, if Album hears this person reloading and looks over, and like kind of the sight of the uniform like sparks maybe just more of like an animalistic recognition, and he'll just like rush him to like grab at the guy's throat. So I guess that'd be unarmed combat, right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Success.
Okay. Yeah, this guy's got, he took 7 damage, so like roll a d4 minus 1. I mean, no matter how much damage you do to him, I think you can take him out, because all he has to do is get to 1 more point of damage.
Ooh,
So
that's max damage.
So maybe the rage takes over, and you just sort of start doing that like that horrible choking. You just kind of,
That Darth Vader choke.
yeah, like he just looks up, It's like that other awful scene from Saving Private Ryan where like they're on top of each other and just slowly pushes the knife. And I hate that scene so
Yeah.
much. I hate that scene. Okay. Makes me feel very bad about life. Okay. There's one more alive now. The one that just killed Chelsea for good. Right next to Fawn. Fawn, he's going to do like a pistol whip. Just try to like take the gun and just whack you across the face with it. And he will miss with an 82.
I feel like I was trying to run towards him and I stumbled, and then he's trying to hit me and I'm still stumbling.
And you stumble underneath his swing, and you can see he's turning around and he's like lowering the gun in Fawn's direction. Vessel, you're up. Can you put an end to this?
Yeah, I'll go for a headshot.
Okay. I'm assuming you're just saying that for flavor and you're not actually doing
Yeah.
the call shot action, which makes it a harder shot.
Oh, yeah,
I'm assuming it's
okay.
just flavor. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, roll your damage.
6. 11
Oh, God,
this
that's
time.
plenty.
There we go.
So
Oh, thank goodness.
Fawn stumbles underneath the swing of the gun. He turns around, getting ready to shoot and fire at her as she's continuing to stumble away. He's got her dead to rights. In the debris and the dust, we can see Album, who is just like literally on top of the guy, just choking him out, while the body of this teenage boy that you tried to save lays limply a couple feet away from him. Chelsea is like gurgling with blood as she's like going through her death throes. And Vessel, you lower the gun right as he's about to pull the trigger at Vessel, and you blow his head just clean right off, and he just flops down to the ground. And we're going to end there for tonight, and we'll pick up
Jeez.
at the end of that battle, because it went a little longer than we intended. Chelsea,
no.
Ashley's got to get going. But you guys pick that fight, not me.
We
Just
I
remember.
just merely
Sure
said
did.
the word no. I was not.
Yeah, I
This is
heard
not on me.
everybody pulled their guns out and started firing at the German soldiers. That's what I heard.
Like we went from no to no with a gun to shooting to dynamite.
Well, Vessel was
Yeah.
always like, "I'm just going to hide in the shadows." Just someone hide in the shadows. I will say this: you all can roll a d6 and recover that amount of sand for saving the other boy. So there's that at least. You saved a boy
Nice.
from being hanged, so I'll give you that. Unfortunately, you killed the other one.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
man.
brownstone bomber strikes again. Sad face.
Oh my goodness. So, all right. That was pretty rough at the end. I did not think we were going to get into physical crazy combat here. I didn't think we were going to have any more of this, but we are going through a war zone, so I guess that's what happens, right? So Ashley, what are we doing tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night on our channel, we are going to wait.
Tomorrow
No.
afternoon on our channel.
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon on our channel, we are playing One Ring, but tomorrow night, we are going to be on Defenders of Coldbolt's channel, and
Yep.
we are playing The Darkest House.
Melissa, what are we doing tomorrow morning, early afternoon before wondering? Because I'm in 3 games tomorrow, Saturday.
Oh my god.
It's crazy.
We are going to be playing some 5e on Grim and Perilous Plays.
That's true. We're playing some Dungeons & Dragons, D&D 5th edition. We're playing Shadow War over on our friend Adam, Grim and Perilous Plays. Come check us out. And then, as Ashley already mentioned, tomorrow afternoon, One Ring back here. Monday, we'll be doing Ultraviolet Grasslands. We'll be back to Delta Green next Friday. Also, hit the YouTube channel and take a look at Deadlands, because Deadlands will be alternating with UVG, with Ultraviolet Grasslands, for a couple months, I think. So check that out. Weird West cowboy stuff. It's fun and bonkers and crazy. That's the one where I think the dice are supposed to go crazy and gunfights turn into a bunch of death. Like this, I didn't expect here, but
Hey, there was
happens.
a kid in danger. There were 2 kids.
Yes.
that is true. You were, in fact, playing to one of the few remaining motivations you have. So yeah, it makes sense. But that's about it for us. Thank you for those of you who hung out. You can see I've already started a raid. We're gonna raid our friend Bert over at Steam Still Murder. But thanks for everyone hanging out. Thanks to you for those of you who are watching this later on YouTube. It was good to see Class to Dix. Thank you for, is it Class to Dix? I feel like I just cursed something. Thanks for hanging out. It was good to see you. But we'll catch you next time. So bye-bye.
Bye.